Chapter 2098, An Incident Created by a Painting. Chapter 2098, An Incident Created by a Painting. Feng Wu and Jun Linyuan had just agreed that they were going to sit in the same carriage, but before they could get into it, Wang arrived. "Princess Feng Wu, His Majesty wants to see you," said Wang with a smile. Feng Wu frowned. Was Emperor Wu still obsessed with Rammel's contract? She glanced at Jun Linyuan and wondered what she would do if the emperor forced her to give him the contract. Jun Linyuan said, "Ignore him." Wang looked at Jun Linyuan in astonishment, shocked by how bold Princess Feng Wu was. Seeing the look on Wang's face, Feng Wu knew that Jun Linyuan had said the wrong thing. She knew how smart Jun Linyuan was, and of course, he would realize what trouble those words would bring the real Feng Wu. But he was too proud to pretend. That was how resolute Jun Linyuan was. Wang smiled wryly. All the high-ranking officials of the Empire and the Senile Grassland were there when His Majesty made the announcement. That was to say, if Feng Wu didn't go, Emperor Wu would be humiliated. Jun Linyuan was a different story. But if even Feng Wu wouldn't respect Emperor Wu, the power of the Empire would become a joke. And if the Emperor lost his temper, the consequences would be very severe. For her own safety, Feng Wu tugged at Jun Linyuan and said, "I'll go with you." The Crown Prince was a little reluctant. Feng Wu moved closer and whispered, "Behave yourself, and I'll owe you one, all right?" Jun Linyuan looked at Feng Wu arrogantly. Feng Wu said, "I'll let you order me around for once." The Crown Prince said, "And I can make you do anything." Feng Wu held up her hand and took an oath. "Anything." Jun Linyuan said, "All right." He walked out of the tent after that, and Feng Wu quickly followed him. Wang watched them, his sharp eyes flickering. Feng Wu and Emperor Wu arrived at Emperor Wu's tent. The younger prince was kneeling on the ground. Seeing Feng Wu, he grew excited and kept winking at her. However, Feng Wu was actually Jun Linyuan. The Crown Prince didn't even look in his direction. He stood there with an impatient look on his face. The Crown Prince had never been a patient person. He only came here because Feng Wu had persuaded him. Seeing that Feng Wu stood there without showing any intention to kneel, Emperor Wu was furious. He lashed out at her. "Feng Wu, do you know what you've done?" Feng Wu's stomach lurched. What was this about? Fearing that Jun Linyuan would try to hit his father, Feng Wu immediately stood between him and his father. She put on Jun Linyuan's well-known cold face and asked, "Father, what's going on?" Emperor Wu stared at Jun Linyuan. "You idiot." Feng Wu looked perplexed. Emperor Wu then threw the scroll at him. "Look." Feng Wu caught the scroll and unfolded it. She saw a painting of her. She rather liked it. "It's not bad at all. My features are portrayed quite accurately." She even showed it to Jun Linyuan. "Look, isn't it a nice painting?" Jun Linyuan snorted. "How petty." Feng Wu said, "It's quite vivid. Can you do something like this?" Chapter 2099, It Has to Be Her. Chapter 2099, It Has to Be Her. Jun Linyuan said, "I can do much better." Seeing that the young couple was whispering to each other, Emperor Wu was furious. He had called them here to drive them apart. "Feng Wu, look what you've done." Emperor Wu glared at Jun Linyuan. Jun Linyuan frowned and glanced at him. His arrogance infuriated Emperor Wu. But he knew that now wasn't the time to get angry. He had something more important to do. Therefore, he stared at the younger prince and said, "Repeat your request." Ever since Feng Wu entered the tent, she was all that the younger prince could see. Hearing Emperor Wu, he looked away from the girl and said, "Your Majesty, please let Princess Feng Wu stay here in the grassland and marry her to me. She's all that I want." Those words shocked everyone. Feng Wu was dumbfounded. What on earth was this? Involuntarily, she looked at Jun Linyuan, and, as expected, his face was livid. She knew that he was going to lose his temper. Jun Linyuan glared at the younger prince. What? The younger prince had been looking affectionately at Feng Wu, but he didn't expect her to be so fierce. The look in her eyes was even more frightening than his older brother's. He didn't even dare look into her eyes. The tent suddenly became very quiet. No one dared to make a sound. Emperor Wu frowned. This wasn't the effect he had expected. Right now, Ramil was standing behind him. Ramil had adjusted her mood. She decided that since she couldn't marry Jun Linyuan, she would try her best to make his life a living hell. If she couldn't make him love her, she would make him hate her. That way, he would remember her forever. Of course, she wouldn't miss the chance to humiliate Feng Wu and Jun Linyuan. Moreover, she had instigated the younger prince into proposing to Feng Wu. At that thought, Ramil stepped out, held Emperor Wu's arm, and smiled. "Your Majesty, please don't get angry. It might be some misunderstanding. We don't want to slander Princess Feng Wu." Hearing that, everyone looked at Ramil. How interesting. Ramil had lost Jun Linyuan to Feng Wu. Now that she was going to become the crown prince's stepmother, she was looking down on the young couple. Master Dugu and Master Zhuo looked at each other, and there were faint smiles on their faces. Emperor Wu looked at Ramil. "My love, what do you think?" Ramil said softly, "I think we should ask my brother why he has to marry Princess Feng Wu. Why can't it be someone else?" This reminded the others. That was right. Why'd it have to be Feng Wu? The younger prince clenched his fists and said solemnly, "I ran into danger several times in the mountains and almost lost my life. Princess Feng Wu helped me in time and saved my life. I took the oath there and then that I would marry no one else." Feng Wu frowned. She hadn't expected this outcome. "Miss Feng Wu, is that true?" Ramil smiled at Jun Linyuan. Chapter 2100, Jun Linyuan Cares. Chapter 2100, Jun Linyuan Cares. Jun Linyuan couldn't be bothered to look at Ramil, because he was so furious that he didn't want to talk to anyone. All he could see was Feng Wu, and the fire in his eyes was hot enough to burn Feng Wu to ash. The look in his eyes made Feng Wu uneasy. What the younger prince said had annoyed Jun Linyuan. As a result, he was very angry. From afar, the temperature around the two of them seemed to rise, as if the air was catching on fire. Seeing that Feng Wu wouldn't speak to her, Ramil smiled and said, "Miss Feng Wu, if you don't answer the question, I'll take it as a yes." Ramil had been portraying herself as an innocent teenage girl before, but after the incident in the tombs, she took a different path and became a sexy woman instead. Now, however, she wanted to play the role of a considerate big sister. She was glad that Feng Wu wasn't saying anything, and she wouldn't give her that chance either. Instead, Ramil asked her younger brother, "Princess Feng Wu didn't know it when you made that oath, did she? I think it was only your wishful thinking." Jun Linyuan turned to stare at the younger prince. So did Feng Wu. But the younger prince said something very surprising. "No, I made that oath in front of Princess Feng Wu, and she didn't object." Wow. Those words felt like a hammer smashing into Feng Wu's head, and she felt dizzy. The crown prince had relaxed a little, but hearing those words, he glared at Feng Wu. Feng Wu's heart was beating so fast that it was going to jump out of her throat. She looked like a trapped animal, and she was a little scared. Ranmil couldn't wait to see Feng Wu dead. Of course, she wouldn't miss such a great opportunity. She smiled and said, "Feng Wu, if you agreed to marry my brother, then why are you still obsessed with the crown prince? You can't marry them both. Which one will you choose?" Although she asked Feng Wu to choose, in fact, she had pinned the crime on Feng Wu. If Feng Wu couldn't explain herself, that stigma would stay with her forever. Whenever people talked about her in the future, they would say that she was a frivolous woman. Although Feng Wu didn't think much of it, Jun Linyuan minded it very much. Was she going to endure Jun Linyuan's rage? Was she going to let Ranmil succeed? Was she going to become a joke? Meanwhile, Jun Linyuan clenched his fists and turned to leave. Hey, she couldn't let him go. She would be ruined. Feng Wu immediately took Jun Linyuan's hand and looked at him with twinkling eyes. Jun Linyuan glowered at Feng Wu. Feng Wu looked back at him, shook her head, and whispered something in his ear. Jun Linyuan narrowed his eyes slightly, but still looked a little angry. Feng Wu repeated her words again. "Trust me." Feng Wu took a deep breath. "I don't care what other people think. All I care about is your trust." All I care about is you. That was what the crown prince heard. He gave Feng Wu one final sharp look before brushing off her hand. Feng Wu felt her stomach sink. Was Jun Lin Yuan still going to storm off? No, he wasn't. As a matter of fact, he quickly walked toward the younger prince. No one knew what she was going to do. Chapter 2101. How dare you? Chapter 2101. How dare you? Feng Wu raised her fist. Thump. She then punched the younger prince in the nose. Everyone was astonished, including the younger prince himself. He stared at Princess Feng Wu in disbelief. She was the woman he wanted to marry, but she had just hit him. Covering his nose, the prince stared at Feng Wu in disbelief. Because Feng Wu's body was still weak, Jun Linyuan's punch hadn't done much damage to him. Had Jun Linyuan been in his own body, the prince would have been killed already. Before the prince could react, Jun Linyuan punched him again. The poor prince was knocked to the ground. Thump, thump, thump. Jun Linyuan kept throwing punches at his head. He was the crown prince. Would his punches be the same as other people's? Obviously not. He aimed at the spots that would hurt the most. Therefore, after a few punches, the poor prince collapsed on the ground and was barely breathing. Feng Wu covered her eyes involuntarily. She preferred to use her brain to solve problems. Jun Linyuan was smarter than she was, but he couldn't be bothered to think, and had chosen to directly use his fists. However, what everyone else saw was that Feng Wu had beaten up the prince. They believed that Feng Wu was the culprit here. Everyone was dumbfounded. They stared at the teenage girl in disbelief and couldn't believe how violent she was. She was no more than 14 years old, but she jumped so high, and her punches were relentless. That was the prince who wanted to marry her. How could she bring herself to do this? Ranmil was the first to react, and her eyes widened in surprise. It had never occurred to her that Feng Wu would use such a way to solve her problem. It was straightforward but effective. However, such an opportunity wouldn't appear every day, so of course, Ranmil wouldn't give in just yet. Therefore, she tugged at Emperor Wu. Emperor Wu reacted immediately and shouted angrily, "That's enough. Take Feng Wu down." Instantly, 2 of his 4 guards stepped out and charged at Feng Wu. However, when they almost touched Feng Wu's arms, Jun Linyuan looked at them with frightening eyes, and they felt their hearts stop. Being Emperor Wu's guards, the 2 men had to be very capable. Their cultivation levels should be much higher than Feng Wu's. But strangely, when Feng Wu glanced at them with her cold eyes, they involuntarily froze. The 2 guards looked at each other uneasily. For a split second, they thought that they were seeing the crown prince's eyes. That was so frightening. Back off. Given Jun Linyuan's intimidating demeanor, the 2 guards backed away before they realized what they were doing. Take her down, Emperor Wu shouted angrily. He decided that the girl was mimicking Jun Linyuan and had done a very good job, but only made him even more furious. Chapter 2102. It's outrageous. Chapter 2102. It's outrageous. How dare you? Jun Linyuan said arrogantly. He was ready to fight. His demeanor made many people uneasy. Master Zhua and Master Dugu looked at each other. Master Dugu murmured, "Since when has Feng Wu been so intimidating? She's bluffing." Master Zhua snorted. Master Dugu glanced at him. "And she's good enough to fool both of us." Master Zhua didn't know what to say. Master Dugu said, "Although her cultivation level is still the same, her demeanor reminds me of an invincible sword. We have to admit that she's going to be great one day." Master Zhua clenched his fists. Master Dugu was right. He couldn't fool himself anymore. At the thought of Zhuo Qingxian and Zhuo Qingyu, Master Zhua was filled with hatred. Feng Wu had to die. At the same time, Feng Wu sighed in resignation. She tugged at the proud crown prince's sleeve and said, "Calm down. Don't be mad." Was the crown prince appeasing Feng Wu now? Exactly what did he see in her? Everyone watched in disbelief. But to their surprise, Feng Wu didn't show any gratitude. Rather, she behaved even worse. She threw off the crown prince's hand. OMG, everyone was shocked by Feng Wu's willfulness. This girl was the boldest person they had ever seen. Did she have a death wish? At the same time, Feng Wu held Jun Linyuan's arm and tried to appease him. Your Royal Highness, didn't you agree that you would behave yourself? She caressed the back of his hand, tried to calm him down. As I said, I'll owe you one, so please help me. Please? You're the best. Feng Wu was great at these things because she had practiced them on her beautiful master. She didn't even need to warm up. Luckily, Feng Wu had whispered those words to Jun Linyuan. If anyone else heard what she said, Jun Linyuan's image would be ruined instantly. Jun Linyuan stared at Feng Wu. Feng Wu gave him a grin in return. The crown prince looked at her in resignation. Just this once, Feng Wu was so happy that if she had a tail, it would be wagging now. Just this once. Jun Linyuan snorted reluctantly and put his hands behind his back. He resumed his indifferent demeanor, which to other people was a sign of her arrogance. But to Jun Linyuan, he felt that he had never been so humble. If Feng Wu hadn't pleaded, the crown prince shot a cold glance at the younger prince. Poor prince. He had wanted to make a marriage proposal, but his dream girl had beaten him up. That had to be a first. Ranmil wouldn't stand for such humiliation. Chapter 2103. Outrageous. Chapter 2103. Outrageous. Of course, Ranmil wouldn't allow Feng Wu to look so arrogant. She felt like she had been slapped in the face. At that thought, Ranmil frowned and said, Princess Feng Wu, I don't think I can agree with what you've done. Before Jun Linyuan could say anything, Feng Wu spoke up. She said what? Ranmil looked at her and said, Your Royal Highness, are you on Princess Feng Wu's side then? Of course I'm on my side, Feng Wu thought. She nodded, which infuriated Ranmil. Ranmil gritted her teeth. Fine. If your Royal Highness doesn't care about your woman's chastity, why should we? Was she going to incriminate Feng Wu? Feng Wu couldn't let her do that, so she stepped forward, stared at Ranmil, and asked, Princess Ranmil, are you sure that Feng Wu gave your brother her consent? Ranmil smirked. I believe my brother. Feng Wu snorted. But I believe Feng Wu. You. Ranmil was rendered speechless. Although she claimed that she didn't like Jun Linyuan anymore, her actions weren't convincing. She hadn't moved on. Instead, she was obsessed with taking revenge. Because of that, when she saw Jun Linyuan turn against her for Feng Wu, she was even more furious and heartbroken. But she had no idea that she was in fact arguing with Feng Wu. Ranmil stared at Feng Wu. So what if you believe her? We need proof. Feng Wu chuckled and crossed her hands. Proof? I'm her proof. Ranmil glared at Jun Linyuan. What do you mean? Feng Wu said. Who has known Feng Wu for longer? Me or this prince? Everyone looked at the beaten-up prince and felt that he had made the worst choice. Why would he try to compete with the crown prince over a woman? Ranmil said, so what? She wouldn't accept this. Why was this even happening? Why would the unapproachable crown prince support Feng Wu now? It was so frustrating. Feng Wu had no idea how Ranmil felt. She only looked at her and snorted. Given the choice, who would you choose, me or my father? Ranmil's gaze was fixed on Jun Linyuan. That was an outrageous question. How could he ask such a thing? Jun Linyuan said, if I accept you as a consort and take you away as long as you say yes, will you come? Wow. Everyone was astonished. Oh God, no one saw that coming. They never expected the crown prince to be so bold. Ranmil had slept with Emperor Wu already and was the emperor's consort Ranmil. Technically speaking, she was Jun Linyuan's stepmother now. That was incredible. The continent was quite open about such things, but this was still unheard of. However, Ranmil had confessed her love for Jun Linyuan first before sleeping with Emperor Wu, which proved that she wasn't that faithful. The looks the other people gave her changed. Chapter 2104. Do you think Feng Wu is blind? Chapter 2104. Do you think Feng Wu is blind? Emperor Wu's face turned livid, and he almost fainted. That defiant son. But now, everyone was looking at Ranmil. She didn't lose her temper or decline the offer immediately. Rather, she was hesitating. She was considering the offer. Oh God, that was what infuriated Emperor Wu the most. Looking around, Feng Wu saw the astonished crowd, the furious Emperor Wu, and the hesitant Ranmil. Human beings were such complicated animals. Oh, why? Ranmil started to say but was cut off. Feng Wu said, "Of course, it's only a hypothesis." A hypothesis? Ranmil wanted to slap Jun Linyuan. She had been so close to saying that she would go with him. Luckily, she was stopped mid-sentence. She was consort Ranmil, Emperor Wu's woman. She could never marry Jun Linyuan. What she didn't notice was that Feng Wu had set her up. Emperor Wu had seen Ranmil's hesitation. Because of Ranmil's enchanting body, Emperor Wu might like her more and more in the future, but now, Feng Wu had planted a seed of distrust in his heart. It was easy for all kings and emperors to distrust others. The more he liked Ranmil, the more doubts he would have about her. Therefore, he would dote on Ranmil, but he would never trust her. Poor Ranmil. She hadn't realized that Feng Wu had ruined her future. Of course, she was too jealous of Feng Wu right now to see things clearly. Feng Wu smiled at Ranmil. "Princess, you've given your answer, haven't you?" Ranmil glared at her. "No, I didn't say anything." Feng Wu chuckled. "Of course you did. You confessed your love for me first. After I turned you down, you chose His Majesty instead. Isn't it obvious?" Ranmil was so furious. So was Emperor Wu. He thought he was going to pass out. Feng Wu smirked. "Even if you wanted to choose me, do you think Feng Wu is blind? Why would she choose another man instead of me?" "Ranmil, don't take other people to be idiots." The questions made Ranmil's face turn scarlet red. She stared at Jun Linyuan and said, "Maybe she's trying to use my brother as her plan B, in case she can't marry your royal highness." Feng Wu snorted. "Princess, do you think that we're all as stupid as you are? Don't you know that Feng Wu and I are still engaged?" Feng Wu then glanced at Ranmil and shook her head. "Princess, do you ever use your brain?" Wow. Everyone's eyes widened, and they held their breaths. When the crown prince lost his temper, no one could withstand his rage. The humiliation made Ranmil want to hide in a cave. Feng Wu then turned to lead Jun Linyuan away. After taking a few steps, she turned around and stared at Emperor Wu. "Father, are you sure you want to take such a stupid woman back to the Imperial capital?" Ranmil was almost in tears. Once Feng Wu and Jun Linyuan had said everything there was to say, they left together. Chapter 2105, My Dearest Crown Prince. Chapter 2105, My Dearest Crown Prince. The people looked at one another in bewilderment. No one knew what to say. Did the emperor bring his royal highness and Feng Wu here only to be humiliated? Why? The younger prince was still in shock. He had been crying since Feng Wu beat him up. He couldn't understand. Feng Wu hadn't been so scary before. Ranmil threw a dirty look at her brother. The thought of what she had gone through made her want to scream. Since Jun Linyuan had given her no hope, Ranmil focused on Emperor Wu instead. However, when she tried to hold Emperor Wu's arm, the emperor, who had been affectionate before, brushed her hand off and walked away. All the officials left with him, leaving Ranmil behind. "Ranmil." The chieftain wanted to say something but hesitated. Ranmil bit her lip and clenched her fists. "Father, don't worry. I can handle Emperor Wu. I remember what I need to do. The Imperial capital is worlds away, and your life in the royal palace won't be easy. The Senal grassland is counting on you. Father, I promise you, one day the entire grassland will be ours." Feng Wu and Jun Linyuan went back to their carriage. Feng Wu sat down and let out a breath of relief. Jun Linyuan had walked so fast that she almost couldn't catch up with him. A few times, they were almost over 10 steps apart. That was close. She looked at Jun Linyuan with a grin. "What are you smiling at me for?" Jun Linyuan glanced at her. "You look fishy." Feng Wu smacked him on the shoulder. "Who are you calling fishy?" Jun Linyuan ignored her and turned to look out the window. The carriage had already started moving, and the view outside was quite pleasant. He knew that the girl would soon come and talk to him. As expected, before long, Fengwu gave him a little nudge. He pretended that he didn't see her, and kept looking out the window as if he was drawn to the view. Hey, hey! Seeing that Jun Linyuan wouldn't reply, Fengwu grew anxious. She ran to the other side, so that Jun Linyuan had a look at her. What? The crown prince sounded annoyed. Fengwu said, I need to talk to you. Jun Linyuan said no. Fengwu said, I haven't said anything yet. The crown prince said, it won't be anything good. Fengwu punched him lightly on the shoulder. Why do you say that? I haven't told you what it's about yet. Jun Linyuan, you have to listen to me. Jun Linyuan said in annoyance, You're such a troublemaker. Fengwu took a deep breath and forced a smile. My dearest crown prince, please hear me out, all right? She knew that Jun Linyuan would say yes if she asked nicely. As expected, the impatient look gradually faded from Jun Linyuan's face, and he was about to speak. Chapter 2106. You want to sleep in the same room as Boss Jun. Chapter 2106. You want to sleep in the same room as Boss Jun, Boss Jun, Boss Jun. There was a familiar voice. Fengwu cried out inwardly. Feng Sun was coming. Boss Jun, we're arriving at a courier station. I've had your room cleaned, and there's hot water inside. You can freshen up right away. Feng Sun grinned at Fengwu from outside the window, ready to be praised. If he had a tail, it would be wagging nonstop right now. Fengwu wanted to smack him on the head. She was so close to getting Jun Linyuan to agree to play the game, and to tie the two of them together with a transparent rope. But Feng Sun had ruined everything. Why, little Fengwu, you're here too. Feng Sun looked at Jun Linyuan and tried to take him away. Come with me. I need to talk to you. As he spoke, Feng Sun put a hand on Jun Linyuan's shoulder, trying to drag him away. However, the crown prince hated other people touching him, so he looked sharply at Feng Sun. WTF. The look made Feng Sun jump, and he drew back his hand involuntarily. What? Jun Linyuan looked at Feng Sun. Since Feng Sun was his best childhood friend, the crown prince was relatively nice to him. Feng Sun cleared his throat and murmured, Why do I feel like Boss Jun is staring at me? Am I daydreaming? Meanwhile, the real crown prince was giving him a you idiot look. Little Fengwu, come here. I have something serious to tell you. Feng Sun remembered what he wanted to do. The crown prince wasn't interested until Feng Sun said, It's about your reputation. Jun Linyuan frowned. If that was the case, he was indeed intrigued. Feng Sun took Jun Linyuan to a quiet corner. Seeing that Jun Linyuan was walking toward them, he gestured for him to stop. Stop. Boss Jun, I've always listened to you, but now you have to listen to me. This is a private matter between me and my sister. Boss Jun, don't eavesdrop. Fengwu looked at Feng Sun in resignation. What did he want to do now? Feng Sun's attitude made Fengwu a little uneasy, because every time Feng Sun tried to help, he ended up giving her more trouble than she already had. Therefore, she stepped forward, trying to soothe Feng Sun. Feng! However, as soon as she started talking, He stopped her. Boss Jun, I need to talk to you. Fengwu was a little speechless when she saw the silent and prim teenager standing in front of her. But she had to admit that hearing him call her boss felt really good. Boss Jun, I need to talk to you, Xianni repeated. Fengwu rolled her eyes at him. Fine, go ahead. But all of Fengwu's attention was on Feng Sun. She didn't know if he would make trouble for her again. Her hunch was accurate. Feng Sun pulled Jun Linyuan to a corner and said seriously, Xiao Wu, do you know that you've made a terrible mistake? The crown prince narrowed his eyes and glanced at Feng Sun. Feng Sun snorted. You're going to sleep in the same room as Boss Jun. Fengwu, are you an idiot? Jun Linyuan narrowed his eyes further. Chapter 2107, Untitled. Chapter 2107, Untitled. However, Feng Sun was too absorbed in his own thoughts to notice the oncoming storm. He jabbed Fengwu in the temple and gritted his teeth. You make me so mad. The crown prince had never been jabbed in the temple before. He brushed off Feng Sun's hand. Feng Sun didn't realize how strong Feng Wu had become. He only stared at her and said in frustration, "Do you know what that kind of behavior will do to a girl? You're not married yet. Your reputation will be ruined." Jun Linyuan had a brooding look in his eyes. Feng Sun went on babbling for a while before he reached the conclusion. "Anyway, you need to marry His Royal Highness as soon as possible. Otherwise, you'll have a lot to lose." The crown prince glanced at Feng Sun and walked away. "What's that look on your face?" "I'm so mad," Feng Sun said, in frustration. The courier station wasn't big, and there were a lot of people. In the end, only the royal family and the high-ranking officials could spend the night inside. The rest had to set up tents around the station. After they settled in, naturally, Feng Wu ran into Jun Linyuan's room. Of course, she had to. With the 9th trial, Feng Wu couldn't stay more than 10 steps away from Jun Linyuan, and nothing was more important than completing that trial. Jun Linyuan glanced at Feng Wu, but didn't say a thing. Feng Wu asked what? The crown prince wanted to say something, but hesitated. Feng Wu quickly set up her bed on the floor. She then asked Jun Linyuan in bewilderment, "What did Feng Sun say?" The crown prince shook his head. "Nothing." Feng Wu was curious. "If that's the case, why do you look so preoccupied? He must have said something to you. Just tell me. I'm not that fragile. I could take it." The crown prince looked at her for a moment and suddenly said, "You should go back to your own room." "What?" Feng Wu stared at him in disbelief, then narrowed her eyes. "What did you say? Go back." Jun Linyuan stared at Feng Wu. Feng Wu was angry. When she didn't want to be around him, he did all he could to trap her. But now, when she had to stick around because of the 9th trial, his attitude changed completely. Feng Wu stared at Jun Linyuan. Jun Linyuan also looked back at Feng Wu. Feng Wu rose to her feet and headed for the door, but she walked very slowly. She was sure that Jun Linyuan would stop her. But to her frustration, she was about 10 steps away, but Jun Linyuan still hadn't said a thing. In fact, the crown prince was thinking along the same lines as Feng Wu. He felt at quite a loss when Feng Wu walked away, as if a hole had opened up in his chest. He opened his mouth, but he wondered if it would weaken his authority if he stopped her. He decided that he would stop her after she took the 11th step. Hence, while Feng Wu waited for him to stop her, he was waiting for her to take one more step. It was a stalemate. The atmosphere grew rather awkward. Anyone else might not have been able to stand it, but not Feng Wu. She was great at enduring awkwardness. Chapter 2108, Untitled. Chapter 2108, Untitled. Feng Wu turned around, walked back to Jun Linyuan, and sat down. "Why are you back?" the crown prince asked with a frown. He wanted to smile, but he forced himself to look reluctant. That was just what he would do. Feng Wu stared at Jun Linyuan with a smirk on her face. "Your Royal Highness, haven't you forgotten something very important?" As she spoke, she lay on the bed on the floor, rested her head on her hands, and crossed her legs. She looked very relaxed. Jun Linyuan looked at Feng Wu suspiciously. Feng Wu patted her chest and said proudly, "I'm Jun Linyuan now. If you want to leave, be my guest. I'm not leaving this room." Jun Linyuan stared at her. She grinned. "You don't scare me." Jun Linyuan was speechless. But he had to admit that with the girl around, he slept much better. He frowned, rose to his feet, and seemed about to head for the door. Feng Wu's stomach lurched. No. What was the point in staying here if Jun Linyuan left this room? She had to stay within 10 steps of him. What happened next was quicker than words could describe. With a whoosh, she ran past Jun Linyuan. Looking up, Jun Linyuan saw that Feng Wu had jumped onto the bed and wrapped the blanket around her. Only her head was left outside. "Please don't leave." Her eyes glistened, and the look in them was very innocent. That look, it could melt any heart. Jun Linyuan had never wanted to leave, and seeing Feng Wu like this only convinced him to stay. But he wasn't good at expressing his emotions, so he waved at her and said, "Go to bed." "Yes." He thought he saw a bright, happy smile on Feng Wu's face. Yes, it was a bright smile. As for happiness, he had probably imagined it. Before they put out the lamp. Thump! The door was kicked open, and someone rushed into the room. Jun Linyuan and Feng Wu bolted up. Jun Linyuan quickly stood behind Feng Wu. But it was too late. The intruders had spotted him. The Empress Dowager saw her as soon as she stepped into the room. Feng Wu, how dare you? The Empress Dowager pointed at Feng Wu. Of course, she was in fact pointing at the Crown Prince. Although Jun Linyuan seldom showed emotions, she was still his grandmother, so he stepped forward and said, "Grandma, shut up. Who gave you permission to call me that? I'm not your grandmother. You're not a part of the family. Don't flatter yourself." The Empress Dowager scolded Jun Linyuan. Feng Wu laughed inwardly. She was glad to see Jun Linyuan, whom the Empress Dowager doted on, get told off. And you, however, the Empress Dowager saw her grin and turned to lash out at her in frustration. "Jun Linyuan, have you lost your mind? How can you do such a thing?" The Empress Dowager said angrily. Feng Wu was dumbfounded. "What did she do?" "Grandma, please don't be mad. What did I do?" Feng Wu spoke like a loving grandson. Chapter 2109, Untitled. Chapter 2109, Untitled. The Empress Dowager glared at Feng Wu. "Don't you know what you've done?" Feng Wu smiled wryly. "Grandmother, please tell me what I did wrong." That infuriated the Empress Dowager again. "Jun Linyuan, are you really that stupid? Have you forgotten who you are? You're the Crown Prince, and you will rule the Junmu Empire one day. What are you doing? You don't care about your health at all. You're sleeping on the ground and letting the girls sleep on the bed. Have you lost your mind?" The Empress Dowager jabbed Feng Wu's forehead with a finger. "She's the maid. She should be looking after you and sleeping on the ground. Use your brain." The Empress Dowager wouldn't stop scolding Jun Linyuan, and he could only listen. Feng Wu saw his face turn dark. She couldn't help but chuckle. "Why are you smiling? Stop it." The old lady hit Feng Wu's, but with her walking stick. "You're such a fool. That girl is making you forget who you are." Feng Wu said, "Grandmother, please don't be mad. You'll give yourself a headache." The Empress Dowager said, "If I die, you're to blame." "Gosh, my head." The Empress Dowager felt dizzy. Feng Wu immediately helped the old lady sit down. She checked her pulse and said, "Your Majesty, you need to calm down. You're stressing yourself out." "I'm stressed out because of you." The Empress Dowager thumped her walking stick on the ground and glared at Jun Linyuan. Feng Wu asked, "What's wrong?" The Empress Dowager said, "Don't you know? That Ranmil is no kitten. I've been watching her. Your father was mad at her before we set out, but the two of them did something in the carriage, and when they got out, your father looked refreshed. Plus, he was holding Consort Rammel's hand." Feng Wu said, "That's impressive." The Empress Dowager glared at Feng Wu. "Do you know where Consort Rammel is now?" Feng Wu asked where. The Empress Dowager said angrily, "She's gone to the Empress. That woman has been losing ground, and her son is nothing compared with you. Her side was going to be doomed, but then this Ranmil showed up. One look and you know that she's a tough one. She used to like you, but now she's with the Emperor. What a foolish son I have. But you're the one to blame. If you had accepted her, she would never have had the chance to obtain your father's favor or join hands with the Empress. Of course, you're perfect. It's all her fault." The Empress Dowager complained to Feng Wu. "Ahem, Grandma, it's not like that." Feng Wu helped the Empress Dowager sit down and said patiently, "Grandma, that Ranmil confessed her love for me first, but when I turned her down, she immediately went to my father. That kind of woman." The Empress Dowager smacked the table. "You're right. She's not good enough for you." Feng Wu sighed. "Grandma, just think about it. Would that woman stay faithful if I married her?" Chapter 2110, Untitled. Chapter 2110, Untitled. The Empress Dowager said she wouldn't dare. Feng Wu sighed. "Grandma, you know what Ranmil is like. Although she's my father's consort Ranmil now, she still has feelings for me." The Empress Dowager was furious. That woman is a disaster. Feng Wu shrugged. She knows the fierce face dance and has an enchanting body. Of course my father adores her. The Empress Dowager said angrily, Your father is a fool. I'll break his legs if he doesn't listen to me. Feng Wu chuckled inwardly. Ranmil wouldn't leave her alone, but she didn't have the time to handle Ranmil. However, she had prepared a lot of traps for Ranmil in advance. She was curious to know if Ranmil could win the Empress Dowager over. It wouldn't be easy, because Jun Linyuan had made it clear that he and Ranmil were at daggers drawn. Was the Empress Dowager's favorite grandson, and she was the bad woman who wanted both the son and the father. It didn't take a genius to figure out which side the Empress Dowager would be on. The Empress Dowager rose to her feet. I'd like to see what the Emperor will say. Feng Wu and Jun Linyuan looked at each other and were glad that the old lady was leaving. However, the Empress Dowager suddenly turned around and gave Jun Linyuan a threatening look. You're a maid. Behave like one, said the Empress Dowager. But Feng Wu was in fact the proud Jun Linyuan. Of course, he wouldn't behave like a humble maid. Therefore, Feng Wu stepped forward and blocked Jun Linyuan's view. She then smiled at the Empress Dowager. Of course, I'm sure she knows that. The Empress Dowager said angrily, You're indulging her, and she's spoiled. How can she let you sleep on the floor? After that, the Empress Dowager glared at Jun Linyuan. If I see that happening one more time, I'm going to sell you off. Feng Wu cleared her throat. What the Empress Dowager said made her heart skip a beat. Luckily, Jun Linyuan hadn't lost his temper yet. But if the Empress Dowager still wouldn't leave, Feng Wu immediately took the Empress Dowager's hand and led her toward the door. It's dark and slippery outside. Granny Lan, be careful on your way back. Don't let the Empress Dowager fall. The Empress Dowager told Feng Wu, That maid is impossible. She doesn't understand her role. In the end, you'll be maltreated. So, Feng Wu's stomach lurched, and she had a very bad feeling. The Empress Dowager told Granny Lan, Send 2 disciplinary grannies here tomorrow. Feng Wu needs to learn the rules and how to serve her master. She left after that. Feng Wu was dumbfounded. Oh God! Feng Wu looked at Jun Linyuan. As expected, his face was very dark. Feng Wu said, Don't take her too seriously. I won't let those nannies do anything to you. I'm not someone who would do something like that at all. Feng Wu, do you have some misconception about me? The Crown Prince glanced at Feng Wu. Chapter 2111, Revival List. Chapter 2111, Revival List. Feng Wu asked what? Jun Linyuan said, Do you think a couple of disciplinary nannies can do anything to me? Feng Wu didn't know what to say. Just then, they heard a thump. Feng Wu and Jun Linyuan exchanged a look. Feng Wu said that was loud. I think it came from His Majesty's room. Emperor Wu lived in the largest courtyard in the center, whereas Jun Linyuan's room was in the east. Therefore, it sounded to them like the thump had come from the west. Jun Linyuan said, Go to bed. Just then, they heard running footsteps as well. The fairy suddenly stuck her head out and cried out. Feng Wu patted her head. Be quiet. Luckily, she and the fairy could communicate with their minds. Because Feng Wu's cultivation level wasn't very high, Jun Linyuan couldn't sense the fairy and the 12 trials yet, nor had he noticed her beautiful master. The fairy looked very anxious. Feng Wu grew uneasy and asked what? Well, the 10th trial was just activated, the fairy stammered. The 10th trial? Feng Wu frowned. Aren't I still on the 9th trial? Why is there a new one already? The 9th trial required Feng Wu to stay within 10 steps of Jun Linyuan. The fairy sounded very helpless. I have no idea. Feng Wu said, Fine. What's the 10th trial, then? The fairy gave her a strange look. Feng Wu suddenly had a bad feeling. Tell me, the fairy said, Find the Dongsang Kingdom's revival list and eliminate everyone on it. Feng Wu was dumbfounded. First of all, what's a revival list? The fairy looked at Feng Wu and shook her head. Feng Wu was surprised. You don't know either? The fairy shook her head. No, I don't. Feng Wu didn't know what to say. Is there a time limit then? The fairy shook her head. No. Feng Wu rubbed her chin. That makes sense. A time limit would make it impossible to finish this trial. The Dongseng Kingdom's revival list. Where do I begin? And why was the 10th trial suddenly triggered? I haven't finished the 9th trial yet. Did something happen just then? Feng Wu racked her brain for an answer. Suddenly, she heard Feng's voice. There was an assassination attempt on His Majesty. The attackers were from the Dongseng Kingdom. What? Feng Wu smacked her head. The Dongseng Kingdom. The revival list. Feng Wu's eyes lit up. The 10th trial was triggered when the Dongseng Kingdom tried to assassinate Emperor Wu. Was there a connection? At that thought, Feng Wu rose to her feet, and she pulled Jun Linyuan up as well. Jun Linyuan had sat down on the bed, trying to repair Feng Wu's body, but was interrupted. He frowned at her. Feng Wu chuckled. Shall we go visit your father? Chapter 2112, The Dongseng Kingdom. Chapter 2112, The Dongseng Kingdom. Jun Linyuan said, He's protected by so many people. He'll live. I'm not going. Feng Wu thought, If you don't go, I can't go. What about my 10th trial? Hence, Feng Wu gave Jun Linyuan a pleading look. Jun Linyuan looked at Feng Wu in resignation. Do you really want to go so badly? Feng Wu said, Yes. Having no other choice, Jun Linyuan had to go with her. In the middle courtyard where Emperor Wu lived, Empress Dugu was keeping Emperor Wu company, and the atmosphere was quite subdued. The floor was covered with broken cups, shattered chairs, and a screen that had been knocked over. It was a mess. Father, seeing Emperor Wu's dark face, Feng Wu frowned and asked Gong Shuji, the captain of Emperor Wu's guards, what happened. Gong Shuji said solemnly, 10 men in black cloaks were waiting inside the courier station when we arrived. They were very good at hiding, and our men didn't notice them. His voice was filled with frustration. We were caught off guard when they attacked. They were so fast that there was little we could do. Emperor Wu steadied Empress Dugu and said, I have to thank the Empress. If she hadn't warned me and shielded me with her own body, it seemed that Empress Dugu was injured. Blood soaked the cloth over her shoulder. That attack had been aimed at Emperor Wu's heart. So, Empress Dugu had indeed saved the emperor. Feng Wu couldn't help but look at Empress Dugu. She was impressed. The day before, Empress Dugu had been furious about what happened between Emperor Wu and Ran Mill, and she looked like she wanted to run away from her husband. But it only took her one day to calm down, and now she was already trying to win Emperor Wu back. This woman was a chameleon. Feng Wu glanced at Empress Dugu before asking, Are you sure that the assassins were from the Dongseng Kingdom? Gong Shuji nodded. Their great concealment skills are enough to prove that they're ninjas from the Dongseng Kingdom. We checked the calluses on the hands of the dead bodies. It's obvious that they usually wield katanas. Therefore, I'm sure that the assassins were from the Dongseng Kingdom. Emperor Wu said angrily, Are they going to revolt again? Everyone fell silent. The entire Junwu Empire knew how savage the Dongseng Kingdom was. They had committed heinous crimes in the Junwu Empire 13 years ago. Dongseng Kingdom was less than 1/10 of the size of the Junwu Empire. However, the Dongseng Kingdom was very powerful. They had too little land and too many people. They experienced constant natural disasters and took death more lightly than the people of other countries. They had a sense of national cohesion that united them and enabled them to fight as one. No matter how large their population was, if they didn't work together, they wouldn't be able to achieve anything. However, a few people working together could become a formidable force. 13 years ago, the Dongseng Kingdom was driven by such a force and tore through the defense line of the Junwu Empire. After that, they quickly reached every corner of the empire. Chapter 2113 Feud. Chapter 2113 Feud. The Dongseng Kingdom's cavalry ran wild in the Junwu Empire and committed many unspeakable crimes. The entire empire was dragged into the war and was on the verge of a total collapse. Fortunately, A capable hero led the army and chased the men of the Dongzheng kingdom out of the Junwu Empire. However, it didn't change the fact that it was a humiliating past for the empire. Emperor Wu forbade anyone from recording this part of history, hoping that the people would forget about it. Naturally, the imperial censor disagreed. He killed himself in court in order to try and stop the emperor. But Emperor Wu was stubborn and refused to listen to anyone. He insisted that the war should be omitted from historical records and never mentioned again. Gradually, everyone forgot about it. Children younger than 13 had never experienced the war and knew little about it. For instance, Fengwu only had a rough idea. She knew that a great master helped the empire in the war. But no one ever mentioned who the master was. After performing such a great achievement, the people shouldn't forget this person. Fengwu wanted to ask who the person was, but she was playing Jun Linyuan now. Of course, Jun Linyuan should know the person's name, so she had to keep the question to herself until she got back to her room. However, what Emperor Wu said next answered her question. Back then, Master Linghu single-handedly killed the enemy leader, and the Dongzheng army admitted defeat. After that, they signed a treaty that was to our benefit. Fengwu was surprised. Master Linghu? Wasn't he the old monk of Wandering Temple? Fengwu was very familiar with that name. She had to finish the 12 trials of love because of that master. So it was him. That's why people respect the old monk so much, including Emperor Wu and the Empress Dowager, thought Fengwu. That old man had done so much for the empire. But Master Linghu said that he can't do this forever. He owed my grandfather a favor, and because of that, he killed the enemy leader. Now that we're even, he won't do anything if war breaks out again, said Jun Linyuan casually. Emperor Wu exploded. He glared at Fengwu and shouted, "Why do you know that?" It was classified information. No more than 10 people knew the secret, and they were all close to Emperor Wu. If the Dongzheng kingdom knew about this, they would invade the empire again. Jun Linyuan, how could you tell her? Emperor Wu was furious. Are you really going to marry her? Have you forgotten your agreement with Zhuo Qingwan? What? Of all the things Emperor Wu said, Fengwu only heard the last part. Jun Linyuan and Zhuo Qingwan had an agreement? What was it? She gave Jun Linyuan a confused look, but Jun Linyuan didn't seem to want to answer her question. Ahem. He cleared his throat. Things kept happening after they left the tombs, and he didn't have time to properly repair Fengwu's body. Because of that, he would still cough from time to time. Luckily, he had repaired 30%, which was enough to keep Fengwu alive. Chapter 2114, Untitled. Chapter 2114, Untitled. However, at that moment, a young eunuch came in to serve the tea. He was called Chiu and had been doing this job for a very long time. After serving the tea, he turned to leave the room. Something happened when he walked past Jun Linyuan. He suddenly smashed the teapot onto Jun Linyuan's back. Jun Linyuan was using Fengwu's body, which he had only repaired by 30%. No one had expected the young eunuch to be a martial arts practitioner. Moreover, he was great at hiding his skills. Jun Linyuan shifted to the side, barely evading the attack. Fengwu reacted in time and punched the eunuch. Thump! Chiu's head was smashed into a pulp. Wow! Everyone stared at Fengwu in disbelief. Oh God, that was such terrifying power. The crown prince was as formidable as rumored. Seeing the dead body, even Empress Dugu was impressed. Caught off guard, Fengwu didn't control her power. While killing Chiu, she almost brought the courier station to the ground. The ceiling trembled and rubble fell. But she couldn't care less about the building. Where was Jun Linyuan? Normally, she wouldn't worry about Jun Linyuan, but he was using her body now, and her cultivation level wasn't high enough to protect him. Looking around, Fengwu saw that Jun Linyuan was being held by a person that was moving very fast. It seemed that Jun Linyuan had been knocked out. Don't! Fengwu was about to go after them, when Emperor Wu stopped her. Have you lost your mind? Stop right there. They're from the Dongzheng kingdom and are great at using tricks. They've taken Fengwu to lure you out. It's a trap. That Fengwu is just a maid. You can't risk your life for her. Of course, Emperor Wu wouldn't want his son to take the risk. Feng Wu was furious. Emperor Wu had no idea that Feng Wu was his son. No matter how advanced his original level was, he couldn't use any of his skills now. At that thought, Feng Wu shoved Emperor Wu to the side and said, "I'm going to save her." Emperor Wu stumbled. The next second, Feng Wu disappeared from sight. That defiant son! Emperor Wu slapped his hand down on the table. Did this defiant son think that he could do anything just because he was a capable fighter? Protect the crown prince. Emperor Wu glanced at Gong Shuji. Hearing that, Gong Shuji immediately dashed off with his elite soldiers. Feng Wu kept her gaze on the man ahead of her and ran as fast as she could. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Because it was Jun Linyuan's power, and Feng Wu wasn't used to it yet, she was almost flung away several times whenever she turned a corner. There was a thick forest up ahead. Feng Wu narrowed her eyes in an intimidating way. Once inside, her view would be hindered. Moreover, she couldn't master this power yet, and it would be very disadvantageous for her. However, to the ninjas of the Dongsang Kingdom, the forest was the best place for them to hide. Feng Wu was a little frustrated. If it was the real Jun Linyuan, he would have caught the enemy already. Chapter 21:15 Jun Linyuan was snatched. Chapter 21:15 Jun Linyuan was snatched. Right now, Feng Wu couldn't control Jun Linyuan's great power. It was like owning a great fortune, but only being able to use one coin at a time. Feng Wu was so frustrated. She swore that once this was over, she would use all her time to train herself so that she could master this power. If the Dongsang Kingdom heard about this weakening of Jun Linyuan's power, they would try to assassinate him. That would be dangerous. Just then, the ninja disappeared. Where did he go? On guard, Feng Wu narrowed her eyes. Right now, she had even forgotten about the 9th trial and the fact that she had to stay within 10 steps of Jun Linyuan. At that moment, she heard a loud explosion. It was 500 meters to the northeast. Without thinking, Feng Wu dashed off. She reached the site in a split second. Jun Linyuan was leaning against a slope, and opposite him was the ninja, who had been severely injured by the explosion. Kill him. Jun Linyuan was covered by wounds, and there was blood at the corner of his mouth. However, his tone remained authoritative. Without thinking, Feng Wu charged at the ninja. She drew out Sky Destroyer. The ninja's pupils contracted. He was doomed. The crown prince of the Junwo Empire was said to be the most formidable cultivator on this continent. The ninja knew that he wouldn't be able to withstand the attack. However, men of the Dongsang Kingdom never surrendered. Therefore, the ninja still raised his sword even though he knew that he would be killed. Seeing the way Feng Wu struck out, Jun Linyuan frowned. And he was right to do so. The two swords met in midair. Thump! The strike sent the ninja flying backward. He smashed into the mountain wall, destroying half of it. Feng Wu didn't notice anything different, but Jun Linyuan's face darkened. And he was right to do so. The ninja struggled to his feet and stared at Feng Wu. His eyes were filled with confusion, but he also looked pleasantly surprised. "Are you really the crown prince?" he asked in a deep voice. Feng Wu didn't know what gave her away, but she wouldn't give in. She glared at the ninja. "I see. The crown prince of the Junwo Empire hasn't even mastered the power of the primary stage yet." "Ha!" The ninja sounded happy. Feng Wu frowned and wondered what had given her away. But before she could ask anything, the ninja dashed off. She had a bad feeling and wanted to go after him. "Stop!" Jun Linyuan coughed violently and almost spat out blood. Feng Wu immediately ran back to Jun Linyuan and stuffed some pills into his mouth. She then checked his pulse. "You're badly injured. That 30% you repaired has gone to waste. How do you feel?" Jun Linyuan said, "I'll live." Feng Wu asked, "Why didn't you let me kill him? He'll be a huge problem for us in the future." "He must have." Jun Linyuan asked, "He must have what?" Feng Wu said, "He must have noticed something different about you." Judging by his tone, he was happy about it. Is it possible that I'll become their target? Chapter 21:16 Failed the ninth trial? Chapter 21:16 Failed the ninth trial? After the war 13 years ago, the Zhenhua Empire had been keeping a low profile. It was because of Jun Linyuan that the empire gained fame again. Compared with assassinating Emperor Wu, they would rather kill Jun Linyuan. Your body will be in danger. Feng Wu stared at Jun Linyuan. The crown prince said, I know. Feng Wu took his hands. Aren't you worried? Jun Linyuan smiled, but didn't say anything. Feng Wu asked, what's the primary stage? Why did that ninja notice the difference? Jun Linyuan said, you're too far below that stage now, and it won't do you any good to know too much. As for why he noticed it, he glanced at Feng Wu, but before he could say anything, he was caught in a fit of coughing again. Feng Wu immediately steadied him. Your lungs are injured. You shouldn't be talking. The crown prince shook his head. Because your energy is everywhere when you strike out, but powerful people like me can concentrate their power to a single point. It's still too early to tell you how to do that. Suddenly, white wild geese flew into the sky. Jun Linyuan looked at the birds and shook his head. Your worry has just come true. Feng Wu asked what? Jun Linyuan pointed at the wild geese and said, that's sign language used by the Dongseng kingdom. They're sending a signal. Feng Wu had a bad feeling. What signal? Jun Linyuan looked at Feng Wu. Assassinate the crown prince. Feng Wu asked what? Her prediction was right. Feng Wu said. Jun Linyuan waved at her. I anticipated this when I switched bodies with you. There's no need for you to worry about anything. Feng Wu looked perplexed. Feng Wu thought that she was far-sighted and prudent, but as it turned out, Jun Linyuan was even more so. Feng Wu suddenly remembered something, and she cried out. Jun Linyuan was perplexed. Feng Wu suddenly remembered the fairy. Because I was more than 10 steps away from Jun Linyuan when I came out to chase the ninja, wasn't I? The fairy said, yes. Feng Wu's eyes widened, and blue veins popped on her forehead. Have I failed the trial? Feng Wu was so frustrated that she spat out a mouthful of blood. Her broken star piece, her beautiful master. Feng Wu felt that she had been struck by lightning, and she thought that her head was going to explode. Her ears were buzzing so loudly that she almost passed out. Jun Linyuan's pupils contracted. What was wrong with her? Luckily, the fairy said, hey, calm down. You didn't fail. Seeing that Feng Wu didn't respond, the fairy raised her voice. I'm here, aren't I? That means that you haven't failed the 12 trials of love. You can still find the broken star piece. Wake up. For a moment, the fairy thought that Feng Wu's soul was going to leave her body. Chapter 21:17 The Angry Crown Prince. Chapter 21:17 The Angry Crown Prince. Feng Wu's question almost made the fairy jump. Hearing the fairy's reply, Feng Wu gradually returned to herself. I didn't fail the trial. The fairy patted her chest. Look, I'm still here, aren't I? Feng Wu stared at the fairy and saw that she hadn't disappeared. She was relieved, but not completely. Didn't you say that I had to stay within 10 steps of Jun Linyuan? Otherwise, I would fail the trial. The fairy lowered her head and wouldn't look at Feng Wu. Seeing this, Feng Wu knew that something was off, so she said loudly, tell me the truth now. Are you deliberately hiding something from me? Her tone almost scared the fairy, but the fairy felt that it was her fault and didn't dare object. She quickly looked up at Feng Wu before lowering her head. I didn't try to keep it from you, but I forgot to tell you that there's an exception. What exception? Asked Feng Wu. The rules say that you have one chance. Feng Wu stared at her. One chance to do what? The fairy said, you have one chance to stay further than 10 steps from him. Feng Wu asked, only once? Are you sure? The fairy said, yes, only once. You can see it here. After that, the fairy showed Feng Wu the task log. The first line said 9th trial, and the second line was the footnote, which was written in tiny font. The fairy was right. Feng Wu only had one chance. Feng Wu patted her chest and let out a breath of relief. She almost had a heart attack just then. Feng Wu? Feng Wu. In reality, Feng Wu had fainted. Therefore, the fairy urged her, "You need to wake up now. Otherwise, your crown prince will be so worried." "What are you talking about? He's not mine," Feng Wu retorted. The fairy gave her a shove. "Yours or not." Feng Wu was then pushed out by the fairy and didn't hear the remainder of the sentence. The fairy shook her head and smiled wryly. "Haven't you realized? The point of every trial so far has been to try and make you and the crown prince get to know each other better. From the upsy-daisy to the no more than 10 steps apart, the 12 trials of love had been trying to warm things up between the two of them. Otherwise, there would never be any intimate interactions between the two proud teenagers. Unfortunately, Feng Wu still hadn't realized the purpose of the trials. "Feng Wu," Jun Linyuan shook her violently. "That hurts!" Feng Wu cried out and sat up. Jun Linyuan stared at her and let out a breath of relief. He leaned back onto the slope and was too tired to even move a finger. He wanted to scold Feng Wu, but didn't have the energy to do it. Feng Wu realized that she had overreacted, so she scratched her head and said, "Is it because of our body swap? I'm not used to your body yet and can't control your power well. It's too easy to use too much energy." Chapter 2118, Ninja in Black. Chapter 2118, Ninja in Black. That was an excuse good enough to fool Jun Linyuan. Just then, Feng Sun and Xian Yi arrived, bringing a man with them. "What?" Feng Wu was surprised to see the man. Wasn't he the ninja that she had fought earlier? Feng Sun and Xian Yi had caught him. Had they become so capable already? Jun Linyuan snorted. "I planted the seed of the magic soul vine in him before he ran off. There was no way he could escape." The seed of the magic soul vine. Feng Wu was shocked. "Isn't that poison?" Jun Linyuan nodded. That was why Jun Linyuan had been so calm. Although his current body was weak, everything was still under his control. Feng Wu said, "Isn't the magic soul vine highly poisonous? And what's its seed?" Jun Linyuan glanced at her. "Do you want to know?" Feng Wu was very curious. After all, that the magic soul vine was in her body and for her to use now. Of course, she had to figure out what it was. "Yes, I do." Feng Wu nodded. But the crown prince said coldly, "I'm not telling you." Feng Wu said, "You." Just then, whoosh, Feng Sun threw the man onto the ground. The ninja had been poisoned by the magic soul vine, and the impact made him spit out a mouthful of blood. He felt dizzy and could barely open his eyes. "Xiao Wu, are you all right?" Feng Sun quickly ran to Jun Linyuan's side, trying to pick him up. Feng Wu immediately stopped Feng Sun. "Don't move her." Feng Sun looked at Feng Wu and said, "Boss Jun, please save Xiao Wu. I know how stubborn she is, but she means well. Please don't be mad at her." Feng Wu glanced at Feng Sun and wondered when she gave him that impression. Seeing Boss Jun's expressionless face, Feng Sun grew uneasy. "Boss Jun, Feng Wu really likes you. Don't believe what she told you." Feng Wu said what? Feng Sun gave Jun Linyuan a little kick and whispered at him, "Say something." Jun Linyuan was speechless. Feng Sun smiled obsequiously and said, "Xiao Wu really likes you. She talks about you a lot when you're not around." "That's enough." Jun Linyuan's eyes flickered. Infuriated, Feng Wu stomped on Feng Sun's foot. "Shut up." Feng Sun cried out in pain and jumped around on one foot. Poor Feng Sun. Meanwhile, the ninja tried to seize the moment to run away. Suddenly, he was out of sight. The look on Xin Yi's face changed. Jun Linyuan smiled a little and flicked out a soybean. Poof! The soybean ripped through the air, and the ninja hiding in the branches lost his cover. Seeing the ninja crouching on the branch like a monkey, Feng Sun forgot about his painful foot and guffawed. Xian Yi leaped up. The next second, he threw the ninja onto the ground. Chapter 2119, Seed of the Magic Soul Vine. Chapter 2119, Seed of the Magic Soul Vine. Thump! The ninja spat out another mouthful of blood when he hit the ground. You? The ninja stared at Jun Linyuan in disbelief. How did you know? Jun Linyuan glanced at Feng Wu, and she quickly helped him to his feet. Interrogate him, said Jun Linyuan. Feng Sun quickly picked up the ninja, but the next second, he paused and gave Feng Wu a strange look. Her tone and demeanor reminded him so much of Boss Jun. However, Feng Sun still didn't suspect anything. He had found a perfect excuse for Feng Wu. The two of them had been staying together all the time. They were bound to resemble each other. Just look at how serious Feng Wu had become. At that thought, Feng Sun rolled his eyes at Boss Jun. He wanted the old Feng Wu back. Feng Wu was perplexed by that look. Soon, Feng Wu saw how Feng Sun carried out an interrogation. He was usually a silly teenager, but when he was at work, he could become very serious. The ninja tried to kill himself several times, but Feng Sun stopped him in time. When he tried to bite down on the poisonous pill hidden in his tooth, Feng Sun dislocated his chin. When he tried to rip his collar open to get the poison, Feng Sun cut off his right hand. The ninja glared at Feng Sun. Feng Sun pushed the ninja's chin back in place and smirked. Did you really think you could pull that off in front of me? Don't you know that I work for the interrogation department of military intelligence? Feng Wu couldn't help but glance at Feng Sun. The interrogation department. She saw that neither Jun Linyuan nor Xian Yi had any reaction. Did they belong to that department as well? It was said that the Junwu Empire used to have an interrogation department that was under the command of the Ministry of War. The department then developed into military intelligence, which was under the direct command of Emperor Wu and followed his orders only. Today, Feng Wu finally saw how formidable Feng Sun could be when he put his mind to it. The ninja was indeed a tough man. At first, he wouldn't say anything, not even when he was tortured. But Feng Sun was relentless. Seeing the blood which splattered and how much the ninja suffered, Feng Wu was impressed. She should have known. Jun Linyuan's friends couldn't be that simple. Feng Sun seemed harmless, but that was only because he was nice to Feng Wu. When it came to other people, he could be very intimidating. If you want to stay silent, be my guest, but you're going to with a flip of his dagger. Feng Sun peeled another thin slice of flesh off the ninja. Feng Wu felt that Feng Sun would make a great sashimi cook. The ninja wanted to die, but couldn't. He was tied to a tree and stripped to the waist. Feng Sun was cutting off his flesh one strip at a time. With each cut, the ninja screamed. Of course it hurt. Feng Sun's interrogation skills were. He could peel off a strip of flesh all the way from the ninja's shoulder to his stomach without making him bleed. Kill me. Please let me die. Chapter 2120, Saturn Revival Team. Chapter 2120, Saturn Revival Team. Under Feng Sun's relentless interrogation, the ninja finally broke. He gritted his teeth and stared at Feng Sun. Sweat rolled down his forehead and into his eyes. He looked like he had just been pulled out of the water. His throat was raw from all the screaming. Feng Sun patted his chest with the dagger and said teasingly, "You don't have to speak. There's still so much flesh left. I can wait." "Stop. I'll tell you." When Feng Sun raised his dagger again, the ninja shouted, "I'll tell you whatever you want." Feng Sun grinned. "Where are you from?" The ninja said, "The Dongsang Kingdom." Feng Sun said, "Your name?" The ninja said, "Tanamura Ryuichi." Feng Sun asked, "What's your mission?" The ninja said, "I'm an undercover agent. I collect information and carry out assassinations." Feng Sun smiled a little. "When did you come to the Junwu Empire?" The ninja said, 13 years ago. That answer surprised a lot of people. Wasn't that when the war took place? Had this man been here since then? Feng Wu's stomach lurched. She was reminded of the 10th trial. It was to kill everyone on the Dongsang Kingdom's revival list. Was it possible that this ninja was one of them? Feng Sun asked, "Did you participate in the war?" The ninja hesitated but nodded in the end. Feng Sun said, "Didn't you sign the letter of surrender and were chased out of the Junwu Empire by that man?" He grabbed the ninja's collar and shouted, "Speak." The ninja said, before the Sacred War. The Sacred War? Is that what you call it? Feng Sun almost broke his neck. The ninja almost choked, but Feng Sun released him in time and said, "Keep talking." The ninja coughed and panted for a while before going on. Back then, our kingdom sent people here before the war started, and some of them weren't exposed during the war. Therefore, they've stayed hidden since then. Feng Wu frowned. "Is it your so-called revival project?" Feng Wu smiled. The ninja looked up in astonishment and stared at Feng Wu in disbelief. "Why do you know that title?" "Ha ha ha. The Crown Prince is indeed a capable man. We can't keep anything from you." The ninja laughed, but stopped abruptly. "You deliberately let me get away so that I could send that message. You." The ninja glared at Feng Wu. "This is a trap. Curse you." Feng Wu didn't say anything. Nor did Junlin Yuan. Feng Sun looked at Feng Wu in confusion. Feng Wu was troubled, but couldn't tell anyone else. She knew what the ninja meant. When he got away, he had sent a message to say that the Crown Prince wasn't as capable as he was said to be. After the undercover agents in the Junwu Empire learned this, they would definitely try to assassinate Junlin Yuan. But now this ninja thought that this was a trap designed by the Crown Prince. Chapter 21:21. You're lying. Chapter 21:21. You're lying. That was why the ninja was so frustrated. As a matter of fact, right now, Junlin Yuan was indeed very weak. Feng Wu smiled wryly. Of course, she couldn't tell anyone this secret and decided to keep the ninja guessing. She was going to let the ninja continue to be misinformed. The most important thing now was to obtain the revival list. Feng Wu stared at the ninja. "Give me the list." The ninja stared back at Feng Wu. "Don't you have it already?" Feng Wu smirked. "If you lie to us, Feng Sun, make sure he suffers for 81 days before he dies." By that, she meant that Feng Sun should keep peeling off the ninja's flesh. No matter how tough the ninja was, he wouldn't be able to endure the torture for 81 days. Therefore, the ninja could only grit his teeth as he glared at Feng Wu. "I only know the members of the Saturn Revival Team. I swear I don't know the rest." The Saturn Team? Feng Wu raised an eyebrow. She was an avid reader and knew what that meant. In a long-lost ancient civilization, a month was divided into 4 7-day weeks, and this civilization used a 7-star altar. 7 gods were worshipped on the 7 levels of the altar, which were the gods of the sun, the moon, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, and Saturn. The day of the sun was Sunday. The day of the moon was Monday. The day of Mars was Tuesday. The day of Mercury was Wednesday. The day of Jupiter was Thursday. The day of Venus was Friday. The day of Saturn was Saturday. However, only a handful of people still remembered this information. Therefore, when a ninja said that he belonged to the Saturn team, it suddenly occurred to Feng Wu that there were 6 more of them. Feng Wu smiled a little. "Are you saying that you don't have any contact with the other 6 teams?" The ninja felt that he had just been struck by a thunderbolt. Was the Crown Prince even human? How could he know that there were 6 more teams? Seeing the look on his face, Feng Wu knew that she had guessed right. The boss of the intelligence department of the Dongseng Kingdom was to be blamed for this. Why did he have to copy the names from an ancient book? Feng Wu gave Feng Sun a warning glance. Feng Sun nodded and smacked the ninja on the forehead. "The names of your team." The ninja hesitated at first, but when he saw how confident the Crown Prince was, he lost all hope. In the end, he gave them 7 names. "Is that all?" Feng Wu asked. The ninja nodded. "The Saturn team has 7 members, including me." Just then, Feng Wu received a message in her head. It was about the 10th trial. It read, "The Saturn team, 6/10." What? That was to say, 6 of them were dead, and 4 were still at large. Feng Wu narrowed her eyes. "How many of them are dead?" Feng Sun said. "He just said that the Saturn Revival Team has 7 members." Feng Wu stared at the ninja. "Is that so?" The ninja said, "Yes." Why did he feel that the Crown Prince's eyes were so black and so frightening? Chapter 21-22. Do you have a death wish? Chapter 21-22. Do you have a death wish? Feng Wu chuckled. 6 of the 7 members are dead. So, you're saying that you're the only one left. The ninja said, yes. Liar. Feng Wu smirked inwardly. Had it not been for the note that the fairy had shown her, she wouldn't have been able to see through his lie. However, with the note, Feng Wu glanced at Feng Sun. Taking the hint, Feng Sun slid the blade of his dagger across the ninja's skin. Ah! The ninja screamed. Feng Wu smirked. You're lying. The ninja finally believed that the Crown Prince knew everything about the revival teams. There are 10 members on my team. 10. The ninja screamed. Feng Wu said coldly. That's the answer I want to hear. However, you just lied to me. That was interesting. Feng Sun, what do you think we should do? Feng Sun smiled. He tried to hide 3 members from us. How about we take 3 more pieces from him? Feng Wu crossed her hands behind her back and nodded. Go ahead. The ninja almost passed out from the pain. The Crown Prince was as terrifying as he was said to be. Recalling the signal he had just sent to tell his people that the Crown Prince was weak, he wanted to kill himself. Once the ninja completely surrendered, Feng Sun obtained much more information from him. Feng Wu said, write it up in a report. Feng Sun nodded. That was what he usually did. Just then, Your Royal Highness, Gong Shuji arrived. Behind him was a team of 50 royal guards. Feng Wu frowned because it had taken Gong Shuji too long. Gong Shuji knew why the Crown Prince was displeased, and he immediately said, we were stopped by a group of men in black on our way here, and were delayed. That's why. Who else would try to stall them? Feng Wu snorted and made a mental note of it. Hearing his snort, Gong Shuji felt uneasy. The Crown Prince wasn't someone he could offend. Your Royal Highness, who's this? Gong Shuji studied the badly tortured man and was pleasantly surprised. Is he a ninja of the Dongseng Kingdom? Feng Wu nodded. She then told Feng Sun, take him back. Obviously, she wasn't going to let Gong Shuji have him. Gong Shuji rubbed his nose. If the Crown Prince wouldn't give him the man, there was nothing he could do. Jun Linyuan was badly wounded. Any slight move would make him cough violently. Feng Wu had wanted Feng Sun to carry Jun Linyuan back, but she then realized that it was her own body and shouldn't be held by a man. With no other choice, Feng Wu had to pick Jun Linyuan up herself. Cough! Jun Linyuan coughed and stared at Feng Wu. Do you have a death wish? He shouted angrily. He was the Crown Prince of the Empire, but Feng Wu had picked him up as if she was carrying a little girl. The Crown Prince felt humiliated. He wanted to kill Feng Wu with his eyes. Everyone lowered their heads. They decided that they hadn't seen anything. Chapter 21-23. I'll call you Consort Ranmil. Chapter 21-23. I'll call you Consort Ranmil. Feng Sun dragged the ninja away. He patted Feng Wu's shoulder and said sympathetically, Boss Jun, I thought the 2 of you already passed this stage. It seems that your relationship is going nowhere. You have my sympathy. Feng Wu didn't say anything. Jun Linyuan was astonished. Back in the courier station, Feng Wu was going to report back to Emperor Wu to show some respect. But Jun Linyuan snorted and said, Go back to your room. Feng Wu didn't say anything. Jun Linyuan kept his gaze on her, and Feng Wu had no choice but to take him back to their room. Gong Shuji went to report to the Emperor. What? Jun Linyuan caught a ninja alive. Emperor Wu was overjoyed. However, he then realized that it shouldn't be difficult for Jun Linyuan to do that at all. Where is that ninja? Bring him here. I'll interrogate him myself. Gong Shuji said, Well, Your Majesty. Emperor Wu said angrily, Bring him here. Gong Shuji said, Your Majesty, His Royal Highness took him away. Then tell him. Emperor Wu stopped abruptly because he suddenly realized that Jun Linyuan had the ninja. Anyone else would have followed the Emperor's orders. But not Jun Linyuan, the defiant son. The more he thought about it, the angrier Emperor Wu got, but there was nothing he could do to Jun Linyuan. Get out of my sight, he said angrily. Gong Shuji let out a breath of relief and quickly walked away. Before long, Wang announced, "Your Majesty, Consort Ranmil is here to see you." Ranmil had arrived. Emperor Wu had doted on Ranmil, both because of her beauty and her enchanting body. But he remembered how Ranmil's trick had backfired, and she had admitted in front of everyone that she liked Jun Linyuan. The thought made Emperor Wu hate her. "I don't want to see her," said Emperor Wu. Wang went out of the room and told Ranmil, "His Majesty is busy. Consort Ranmil, please go back." Ranmil bit her lower lip in frustration. She wouldn't have come here if they hadn't caught the ninja, but now, Emperor Wu wouldn't even see her. She stormed off. She had her own room. After she got back, Qing Chao closed the door before looking at her. Ranmil said angrily, "Not only won't Emperor Wu see me, he sent me back. I have an enchanting body. If he summons me to his bedchamber next time, I won't go." Qing Chao gave her an indescribable look. That look made Ranmil uneasy. "Why are you staring at me?" Ranmil frowned. Qing Chao was smart and good with people. Therefore, Ranmil had been taking advice from her for years. Qing Chao walked to Ranmil's side, crouched down, and held the princess's hand without speaking. Before Ranmil asked the question, Qing Chao spoke. "Princess, from now on, I'll address you as Consort Ranmil." Ranmil stared at Qing Chao in astonishment. Qing Chao had a solemn look on her face. Chapter 21-24, Love and Hate. Chapter 21-24, Love and Hate. The moment you leave the grassland, you're Consort Ranmil of the Junwu Empire. Princess Ranmil doesn't exist anymore. Once we reach the Junwu Empire, you'll have no one to depend on. The only way you can survive is to gain the Emperor's favor. Emperor Wu can tolerate the Crown Prince's defiance, but have you seen him tolerate anyone else? Everyone else has to show him their utter respect. My lady, your enchanting body is nothing compared with the dignity of an emperor. His Majesty was doing perfectly fine before you showed up. Ranmil clenched her fists, her face very dark. Qing Chao knew that Ranmil didn't like to hear that, but she had to tell her the truth. The Emperor tolerates His Royal Highness's behavior because the Crown Prince is irreplaceable. The Empire can't afford to lose him. But my lady, you're not irreplaceable. Consort Ranmil stared at Qing Chao. Qing Chao took a deep breath. Even if you're mad at me, I still need to say this. My lady, you think too highly of yourself. You're not that unique, and you shouldn't be too proud. Even our chieftain respects Emperor Wu, but you've been giving the Emperor attitude. That's very presumptuous. Haven't you realized how bad things have gotten for you? You showed your affection for the Crown Prince in front of everyone. As the ruler of an empire, what do you think the Emperor will think? He has to face all the people, said Qing Chao. But I have the enchanting, said Ranmil. The Emperor can live without an enchanting body, Qing Chao said loudly. Ranmil glared at her. Qing Chao said, "You know very well that if things aren't going well, Emperor Wu will abandon you." Ranmil said, Qing Chao. Qing Chao said, "Therefore, your top priority is to gain the Emperor's favor and replace Empress Dagu. You need to give him a son that'll inherit the throne. That's the best way to get back at the Crown Prince, and will also be the best outcome for the Sinal Grassland. My lady, you're the hope of the entire grassland, but you're still angry at His Majesty." Qing Chao analyzed the current situation for Ranmil. Ranmil clenched her fists and thought about it. She had to admit that Qing Cao's words made sense. Since she had chosen this path, there was no going back. She and Jun Linyuan could only be enemies. Instead of affection, she should think about what she could gain for the grassland. She had been so silly before. Moreover, she also had a secret agreement with the Dongseng Kingdom. So, what do you think I should do now? Ranmil stared at Qing Chao. Qing Chao said, "Make Emperor Wu like you." Ranmil said, "He won't even see me." Qing Chao smiled. "His Majesty must be missing your enchanting body now. Therefore, all you need to do is take some initiative, and you'll have his favor again. However, you need to do something about the Crown Prince. You need to convince Emperor Wu that you don't have any love for the crown prince anymore, nor do you hate him. You simply find him unpleasant. Love and hate were two sides of the same coin. I know. Chapter 21-25. How do you know? Chapter 21-25. How do you know? Feng Wu and Jun Linyuan didn't know of the change in Ranmel's mentality. Right now, they were engaged in a staring contest. Feng Wu said, I need to treat the wounds on my body. Close your eyes. The crown prince glanced at her. What? Feng Wu glared at him. This is my body. If you don't close your eyes, I'll look at yours. Jun Linyuan said, You're so childish. Feng Wu said, I'm going to wash you now, so you need to close your eyes. Not only did she have Jun Linyuan close his eyes, she also wrapped black cloth around his head several times to cover his eyes. When she removed his clothes and saw her own body, she couldn't bring herself to keep looking. Since when were there so many wounds on her body? There were more bruises than she could count. Her chest and abdomen had been cut and whipped. They were the marks of an interrogation. The ninja had used the short period of time to torture her, and those weren't the only wounds. Her back was badly burnt from the explosion, and her arms and legs. They were also covered with wounds. Feng Wu almost burst into tears. She didn't want to imagine what her body would look like if all the wounds left scars. Feng Wu drew in her breath. When Jun Linyuan heard it, he said, Don't worry. You won't get scars. Feng Wu threw a dirty look at Jun Linyuan. They all look so painful. How could you fight the ninja and still find an opportunity to inject him with the seed of the magic soul vine? Feng Wu knew that she wouldn't be able to do it. It wasn't that she had a weaker mind. She was very confident in how tough her mind was. However, she would pass out from all the pain. But Jun Linyuan didn't. When she saw him, he had been leaning on a slope and looked like nothing had happened. Despite all the wounds, he was able to smile. Does it hurt? He said indifferently. I don't think so. Feng Wu said, How could you not feel any pain? Feng Wu had been a secret again in her previous life and had been trained to withstand pain, but she knew that she wouldn't be able to do better than Jun Linyuan. The crown prince mumbled, I've had pain 10 times worse. This is nothing. What? Feng Wu didn't hear it clearly. The crown prince wasn't the type to complain to other people. He would never show his weakness. Therefore, he snorted, Are you going to treat me or not? Feng Wu said, Of course I will. This is my own body. Feng Wu had to admit that she was more impressed by Jun Linyuan now. He was such a tough guy. Suddenly, the crown prince asked in an indifferent tone, How do you know about the revival list of the Dongseng kingdom? Feng Wu asked what? Jun Linyuan said, How do you know that there are 7 teams? And how do you know that 3 of them are still out there? Even though Jun Linyuan's eyes were covered, Feng Wu could still feel his intense gaze. Chapter 21-26, Untitled. Chapter 21-26, Untitled. How do you know about the revival list of the Dongseng Kingdom? How do you know that there are 7 teams? How do you know that the Saturn team still has 3 surviving members? Jun Linyuan stared at Feng Wu, looking rather intimidating. Feng Wu said, She wanted to slap herself. How could she make such a stupid mistake when Jun Linyuan was around? She should have remembered how smart the crown prince was. If she told him the truth, she would have to tell him about the fairy and the 12 trials of love, which in turn would lead to her beautiful master. That was a consequence she couldn't bear. Therefore, her only option now was, Do you really want to know? She smiled at Jun Linyuan. The crown prince glanced at her and snorted, hinting at her to go on. Feng Wu moved closer and grinned. No, I'm not telling you. He grabbed her hand when she turned to leave. Jun Linyuan's stare was very intense. Feng Wu said, Your grip doesn't hurt at all. She looked down at her wrist. Before, when Jun Linyuan was angry, his grip would be frighteningly painful even if he didn't deliberately use any force. But now, Feng Wu chuckled. I'm living in your body now, while you're in mine. Your body is so strong that your grip can never hurt me. On the other hand, my body has been injured again. There's nothing you can do to me. Jun Linyuan looked at Feng Wu in resignation. Feng Wu gloated. Do you want to hit me now? Too bad. You can't. Jun Linyuan said. You're so happy, aren't you? Feng Wu snorted. Of course. I'm Jun Linyuan now. The Crown Prince said, Do you really think there's nothing I can do? Feng Wu smiled and said, How do you think people will react if I go out as you and start cooking? She then turned to leave. Stop. Jun Linyuan glared at her. He firmly believed that gentlemen should stay away from the kitchen. If people saw him cooking, Feng Sun would be the first to laugh at him. He would be so humiliated. Feng Wu's eyes lit up, and she was very pleased. So, that was what Jun Linyuan was afraid of. Before, Jun Linyuan was used to picking on her, but now, she finally could get back at him. At that thought, Feng Wu didn't find swapping bodies such a bad idea. She said in a solemn tone, Look at your wounds. I have to do something, or you'll starve. Just wait here. I'll be right. Stop. Jun Linyuan glared at Feng Wu. Why was she so happy about the body swap now? Feng Wu looked back at him. Everyone has their secrets, and you're no exception, right? By that, she meant that Jun Linyuan should stop trying to poke in her secrets. Jun Linyuan glanced at her and said, Fine. Feng Wu said what? Jun Linyuan said grumpily, I'll let you keep that secret for now. Chapter 21-27, Untitled. Chapter 21-27, Untitled. Feng Wu was elated and was happy to dodge the question. But Jun Linyuan gave her a look and said, You'll be in charge. Feng Wu asked, What do you mean? She had a feeling that something good was going to happen. Jun Linyuan snorted and said, The old man is concerned, and he doesn't have that many capable men around him. In the end, it'll become your assignment. I need to cultivate and won't have time for this. You'll be in charge. Feng Wu said, Are you saying that? All the people on the revival list. Kill them all. The Crown Prince's eyes shone. Feng Wu was over the moon. The thing Jun Linyuan wanted her to do was essentially the same as the 10th trial. Feng Wu had been worrying about how she was going to catch all the lurking ninjas on her own. However, Jun Linyuan had just given her the perfect opportunity. She was going to be in charge. But there are at least 70 people on that list, said Feng Wu. 6 of them are dead, and we've caught one, but there are still 63 left. If they're all working solo, it'll be impossible to catch them all. Jun Linyuan glanced at her and said, They all have to report to their superiors. Feng Wu said, Are you saying that? That's right. All 7 teams must have a general leader. If we catch him, we'll learn where the 6 teams are. Jun Linyuan gave Feng Wu an appreciative look. Feng Wu rubbed her chin and murmured, The most important thing now is to catch that leader. But who and where is he? She had no idea at all. If they couldn't catch the leader, they would have to catch the members one by one. But there were over 60 of them, and they were likely scattered all over the empire. It would be like finding a needle in a haystack. Feng Wu told Feng, Bring me that ninja. She was going to interrogate him more carefully. Feng nodded and left. He returned in a short while with some bad news. His Majesty is interrogating the prisoner himself. Feng Wu frowned. Bring him here once His Majesty is done, then. Because of what Jun Linyuan said, Gong Shuji didn't take the ninja away, but that didn't mean that Emperor Wu couldn't interrogate him. Feng Wu rubbed her nose. It seemed that Emperor Wu was paying a lot of attention to this as well. While they were waiting, Jun Linyuan gave Feng Wu a thick book. Feng Wu took it with both hands. Jun Linyuan sat cross-legged without speaking. But when Feng Wu saw the title of the book, she glanced at Jun Linyuan and smiled. It was a book on the Dongseng Kingdom. To be honest, Feng Wu didn't know much about the kingdom. Because the Junwo Empire suffered great losses in the war 13 years ago, almost everything about the culture of the Dongseng Kingdom was eliminated from books. Feng Wu hadn't been able to find any books. And she didn't know much about ninjas either. This book was very helpful. Jun Linyuan. Chapter 21-28. What to do. Chapter 21-28. What to do. After reading the book, Feng Wu had a better understanding of the Dongsang kingdom. Emperor Wu had cut all ties with Dongsang for the past decade. As a result, most commoners didn't know much about that kingdom. The Dongsang kingdom was to the northeast of the Junwu Empire. Between them was the vast Peace grassland. The Dongsang kingdom was less than 1/10 the size of the Junwu Empire. It was surrounded by the ocean on 3 sides apart from the grassland. The kingdom had too little land for too many people, and its economy was quite advanced. Its population consisted of a single ethnicity. Because of that, they were a very united people. They had a great military force, and they were brave and good at fighting. They were quick learners. They valued martial prowess above all else and weren't afraid of death. When they set their sights on a target, they would do everything they could to fulfill it, even at the cost of their own lives. It was also the reason why the Junwu Empire lost so miserably 13 years ago. Had it not been for Master Linghu, the entire Junwu Empire would have been turned into a wasteland. Feng Wu closed her eyes when she finished the book. She could still see every word in her mind. When she opened her eyes again, she had fully remembered the behavioral patterns of the Dongsang people. Just then, she heard a voice outside. "Your Royal Highness." "Yes." Feng Wu raised her eyebrows. "Feng, come in." If Feng was here to alert her to something, it had to be serious. Feng came in and looked from Feng Wu to Jun Linyuan. He then said, "His Majesty went to interrogate the ninja." Feng Wu nodded. "You've told me that already. The prisoner is dead." Feng smiled wryly. "What?" Feng Wu frowned. "How did that happen?" Feng went on smiling wryly. "His Majesty is coming this way. Your Royal Highness can ask His Majesty yourself." Then, footsteps came from outside. Emperor Wu had indeed arrived. The door was slammed open. The Emperor walked in. Feng Wu frowned. Thump! The dead body was tossed onto the ground. Feng Wu checked the log in her head, and it said that the Saturn team task was 70% completed. That was to say, the prisoner was really dead. Feng Wu and Jun Linyuan looked at each other, and both seemed displeased. Feng Wu stared at Emperor Wu. Jun Linyuan almost got himself killed in the process of catching this man, but the Emperor killed him. Emperor Wu had been quite intimidating at first, but the look in Feng Wu's eyes made him uneasy. He cleared his throat. "He's dead already. Are you going to blame me now?" Feng Wu stared at Emperor Wu. "I caught this prisoner." Emperor Wu waved him off. "That was why I interrogated him myself. You hurt him too badly. I only used a little force, but his bones broke and he dropped dead. Why did you have to injure him so badly?" Feng Wu looked at him in resignation. "Your Majesty, are you saying that you don't need to take any responsibility at all?" "And I'm the one to blame," Emperor Wu said. "Why do you care about the results so much? He's dead now. What do you think we should do? Why do you care about the results so much?" Feng Wu couldn't believe that question. Was the Emperor joking? "I didn't kill him. How should I know what to do?" Feng Wu smirked. Chapter 21-29 Inheritance Jade Ring. Chapter 21-29 Inheritance Jade Ring. Emperor Wu said, "If you hadn't injured him so badly, he wouldn't have died. So in the end, you're the one who killed him. You need to take responsibility." Feng Wu didn't say anything. Why was the Emperor so unreasonable? She hadn't even blamed him for killing the prisoner yet. After all, Feng Wu wasn't Jun Linyuan. Jun Linyuan would have stormed off by now, but Feng Wu only looked at Emperor Wu in resignation and asked, "What do you want?" "What?" Emperor Wu looked at the crown prince in amazement. He was sure that his son would tell him off, which was why he had blamed Jun Linyuan first. Since when was the boy so mild? "Take care of it." Emperor Wu smirked. "How dare they try to assassinate me? Find me the leader in 10 days. Otherwise, I'll hold you responsible." After that, Emperor Wu turned to leave. 10 days? He had to be joking. Feng Wu immediately said, "No." But Emperor Wu wouldn't take no for an answer. He headed for the door without looking at Feng Wu. "Father." Just then, the second prince arrived. Emperor Wu could have left the room, but the second prince blocked his way. The prince then knelt down on one knee and said, "Father, please give me a chance." Emperor Wu was so frustrated. Why would this silly boy block his way now? It was the worst timing. The second prince had no idea what his father was thinking. He said loudly, "Father, please let me find out who's behind the assassination." Why would someone want that task? Feng Wu couldn't help but look at the second prince. Emperor Wu also looked at him in resignation. How stupid could he get? He had given the task to Jun Lin Yuan, so of course, it would be a very difficult one. Undercover agents were the most difficult to find. Therefore, he stared at the second prince and asked, "What did you say?" The second prince said solemnly, "Father, please give the task to me. I'll do my best and uncover the truth. I'll find the culprit in 10 days. Feng Wu gave the second prince a strange look. If she couldn't be that sure, how could he? Didn't he know how difficult the task was? He can have it. Feng Wu smiled. No. Emperor Wu glared at Feng Wu. Although the defiant son often upset him, he had to admit that Jun Lin Yuan was very capable. The second prince might be an obedient son, but he was nothing compared with Jun Lin Yuan. Father, the second prince gave Emperor Wu a pleading look. Growing impatient, Emperor Wu waved his hand. The two of you will work on it. You'll have time until we reach the Imperial capital. The first one to solve the case will win, and the winner. He played with the jade ring on his thumb and smiled. I'll give him the inheritance jade ring. The second prince was surprised. It wasn't just any ring. Without it, even if a prince could take the throne, he wouldn't be considered the right and proper heir. Chapter 2130, Untitled. Chapter 2130, Untitled. The inheritance jade ring. The second prince's stomach lurched. If he could have it, the chance of him inheriting the throne would be. At that thought, the second prince immediately bowed and said, "Yes, father." Emperor Wu glanced at Jun Lin Yuan. Although you're the crown prince, don't think that you're bound to become the next emperor. Jun Lin Yuan didn't say anything. But Feng Wu frowned. Jun Lin Yuan was quite willful, but that didn't mean that Emperor Wu couldn't do anything about it. Emperor Wu had been indulging Jun Lin Yuan because he felt sorry for Jun Lin Yuan's late mother and for not being around when Jun Lin Yuan was little. Had it not been for that, no matter how talented Jun Lin Yuan was, Emperor Wu would never allow Jun Lin Yuan to challenge his authority. Jun Lin Yuan wouldn't be able to behave in such a reckless way. The throne is mine right now. It'll be yours only if I give it to you. Don't blame me if I give it to someone else. Emperor Wu gave Jun Lin Yuan one last look before he turned around and left. Seeing this, the second prince couldn't hide his excitement. After Emperor Wu left, he stared at Jun Lin Yuan and smiled. My dear brother, the throne will only be yours if our father gives it to you. He left after that. Once they were gone, Feng Wu asked unhappily, what did Emperor Wu mean? Was he not going to let you inherit the throne? This whole time, Jun Lin Yuan had been sitting cross-legged on the ground and repairing Feng Wu's body. The damage is too severe. Jun Lin Yuan didn't answer a question. Feng Wu sat down in front of him and looked distressed. Forget about cultivating already. You may not be the crown prince anymore. Other people would have been so worried. But Jun Lin Yuan, he didn't even open his eyes. Not only that, he was also breathing normally and only nodded indifferently. Feng Wu was anxious. Didn't you hear that? Your father is encouraging your brother to compete with you. Although the second prince had asked to be part of the investigation, if Emperor Wu hadn't given his tacit agreement, the second prince wouldn't have shown up at that moment. Jun Lin Yuan only smiled indifferently. Feng Wu clenched her fists and said, I know you don't like the second prince and feel that he's not good enough to be your rival. But Jun Lin Yuan, you're too proud. Jun Lin Yuan went on cultivating as if he didn't hear her. Feng Wu said grumpily, if you're Emperor Wu's only child, no matter how willful you are, you'll still be his only choice. But that's not the case. You still have other brothers. Feng Wu stared at him. Yes, they're not as talented or smart as you are, but they'll follow your father's orders. If you're an emperor, Which son will you choose? An obedient but mediocre one, or a talented but arrogant one? The latter, Jun Linyuan said without hesitation. That almost rendered Feng Wu speechless. She took a deep breath and said, "That's because you're a wise ruler. What about your father? He's not as subjective as you are. He likes whoever makes him happy." Chapter 2131, Untitled. Chapter 2131, Untitled. Did you just call him an unwise ruler? Jun Linyuan glanced at Feng Wu. Feng Wu said, "Well, I didn't say that." Jun Linyuan said, "You're right. He's not wise at all." Feng Wu said, "Well," Jun Linyuan said, "the thing that you're worried about, it won't happen." Feng Wu asked, "What thing?" Jun Linyuan said, "About losing the right to the throne." Feng Wu said, "Jun Linyuan, aren't you too confident in yourself?" Jun Linyuan smiled. "I'm not confident in myself. It's Master Linghu whom I have faith in." Master Linghu? As in the monk of Wandering Temple in the mountain behind Imperial College? Feng Wu looked at Jun Linyuan suspiciously. Jun Linyuan nodded. "Yes. Do you know why I became a crown prince?" Feng Wu asked. "Weren't you born to be the crown prince?" Jun Linyuan looked at her in resignation. Feng Wu asked, "Was it because of Master Linghu?" Jun Linyuan nodded. Master Linghu forced the general of the Dongseng kingdom to commit suicide. When he chased the army out of our empire, he told my father something. He said that he had repaid the favor to the Junwu Empire and owed us nothing after that. If the empire and the Dongseng kingdom went to war again, only Jun Linyuan would be able to bring back peace. Jun Linyuan then glanced at Feng Wu. "I became the crown prince on that day." Feng Wu said, "So, Master Linghu is your patron. That explains it." The crown prince nodded. "Master Linghu has taught me a few things. He's like half a master to me." Feng Wu was curious. "Master Linghu doesn't seem to like anyone except you. Even Feng Sun isn't allowed to enter his place." Jun Linyuan nodded. "I've been there a couple of times in the past decade, but Feng Sun could only wait in the gatehouse." Feng Wu asked, "Has Master Linghu never agreed to see him?" Jun Linyuan nodded. Feng Wu scratched her head and wondered why Master Linghu had agreed to see her last time. Moreover, he had been very nice to her. The crown prince then added, "Master Linghu never meets people he doesn't know." Feng Wu asked, "Is that true? Does he never meet strangers?" The crown prince nodded. "Even my grandmother can't see him just because she wants to. She'll be lucky if she can meet him once every 3 or 5 years. Feng Wu asked curiously, "Why does the Empress Dowager want to meet Master Linghu?" Jun Linyuan looked at Feng Wu in confusion. That look made Feng Wu even more confused. "Did I ask the wrong question?" Jun Linyuan asked, "Do you not know?" Feng Wu asked, "No what?" Jun Linyuan asked, "Don't you know that Master Linghu has a blessing power?" Feng Wu asked, "What's that?" Jun Linyuan was perplexed, but he still answered, "He can give all sorts of blessings, from longevity and health to virility and romance." Wait, Feng Wu suddenly had a bad feeling. She cut Jun Linyuan off and asked, "What did you say? What do you mean by romance?" The crown prince said, "I've never asked for one. How should I know?" Feng Wu said, "By the sound of it, does it have something to do with one's romantic relationship?" The crown prince said something like that. Feng Wu was astonished. Romance. She clenched her fists. Was it possible that she hadn't picked the 12 Trials of Love by accident? Had Master Linghu tricked her into picking it? The more she thought about it, the more frustrated she became. She almost wanted to go to Master Linghu now and get an answer from him. Chapter 2132, Untitled. Chapter 2132, Untitled. Why are you upset? Jun Linyuan gave Feng Wu a suspicious look. I'm not telling you. Feng Wu snorted. Jun Linyuan didn't press her. Feng Wu asked, "What should I do now?" The crown prince asked, "What do you mean?" Feng Wu said, "About the case. What do you think we should do about the undercover agents of the Dongseng kingdom?" Jun Linyuan said, "If you don't want to do anything, Just forget about it. Feng Wu said, "Of course I can't do that. That was her 10th trial. If she couldn't finish it, what about her beautiful master? She needed to finish the 12 trials of love to obtain the broken star piece." Jun Linyuan gave Feng Wu a perplexed look. "Do you want to find out who they are?" Feng Wu didn't say anything. Jun Linyuan said, "Why bother? It's none of your business." Feng Wu didn't say anything. He was right. It really wasn't her business. "But it's yours. If the second prince uncovers the truth first, he'll have the ring and become a more powerful rival. I don't think you want that to happen." Jun Linyuan glanced at Feng Wu and said casually, "It's none of my business." Feng Wu said, "But I'm you now, and God knows when our bodies will swap back. It'll be me who will be humiliated." Jun Linyuan said, "If you want to investigate, go ahead." Feng Wu said, "But I don't know where to begin. The only lead we had was killed by your father. What should I do now?" Jun Linyuan looked at her. "Do you not have a clue at all?" Feng Wu said no. Jun Linyuan glanced at her before he went back to repairing her body. Having worked on her body for half the night, he had repaired 25% of it. It wouldn't take him much longer to fix everything. Seeing how calm Jun Linyuan was, Feng Wu knew that he must have a lead. But what was it? Rubbing her chin, Feng Wu recalled the details of Feng Sun's interrogation, but she couldn't find anything useful. There was no way that Jun Linyuan could see it when she couldn't. Leaning against the wall, Feng Wu closed her eyes and searched her memory. What was the lead? Her gaze then landed on the book. Could it be in the book? Feng Wu flipped through the book from the first page to the last, then in reverse. But there was nothing. She then picked up the interrogation record, which Feng Sun had left behind, and checked it carefully. She suddenly asked Feng, "Did you hear from His Majesty?" Feng said, "They've searched the camp. No one is missing." That was what Feng Wu had expected. All those 7 ninjas were assassins that hadn't been hiding among the soldiers. Otherwise, someone would have noticed that 7 men were missing. Feng Wu checked the log in her mind. It said that 70% of the Saturn team was gone, but why was there a thick red bar behind it? What did that mean? Was that some kind of red alert? Was that a warning that the remaining 3 were different from the 7 dead ones? Were they more dangerous? If the surviving members are on the same team as the 7, why didn't they take action together? Chapter 2133, Untitled. Chapter 2133, Untitled. If 10 people take action together, they'll have a much bigger chance of succeeding. Why didn't they do that? The signal which the Saturn team leader sent was obviously for the other 3. But the 3 people aren't together. Where can they be hiding? Feng Sun entered the room and was dumbfounded to see Feng Wu. Feng Wu was lost in her own world. She murmured, "No one went in or out of these mountains. Therefore, the only possible place is this courier station." Feng Wu stared at Feng Sun and said coldly, "The other 3 men are all here in the courier station." Feng Sun asked, "Are you sure?" Feng Wu said, "If we eliminate the impossible, then no matter how incredible the remaining option looks, it has to be the right answer." "Yes, they're hiding in this place." Feng Sun frowned. "That's tricky. His Majesty has a large entourage. Although some families have gone back in advance, most of them are still here. How are we going to screen them all?" Feng Wu said, "We can rule out the common soldiers. Those men are part of the revival plan, and after 13 years, they can't remain at such a low level." Feng Sun nodded. Feng Wu said, "They'll try to gain power. Focus on the key divisions that are related to intelligence." Feng Sun nodded again. Feng Wu went on, "They will be very careful as well, and they may look a little sneaky. Keep that in mind. Since they've settled down, they would want to climb higher and gather more information. Pay attention to the wives. Don't limit yourself to the daughters of famous families. See whose father-in-law or brother-in-law has real power." Feng Sun nodded. He was amazed by how perceptive Boss Jun was. Feng Wu nodded and said, "People of the Dongseng Kingdom are known for their small stature, and they have unique personalities and cultivation skills as well. They won't be using special skills because it'll draw too much attention to them. The ninjas are expert assassins. They aren't very strong, but they're very fast. Feng Sun said happily, Boss Jun, don't worry. With so many hints, we'll soon uncover them. Feng Sun looked at Feng Wu, who was sitting in the corner and repairing her body. He clenched his fists and said, They injured Xiao Wu. I'll find them all. He then turned to leave. Feng Wu said, Don't alert them. Feng Sun waved at her without looking back. He thought he was smart enough for such an easy task. But soon he was frustrated. Because, Boss Jun, Feng Sun came back with a long face. Things have gotten a bit tricky. Feng Wu was perplexed. What? Couldn't you find them? Feng Sun said, I found them, but too many people fit the description. There are 15 of them. Can we have that many undercover agents in our team? Feng Wu asked, Are all of the members of the guard? Chapter 2134, Untitled. Chapter 2134, Untitled. Are all of them members of the guards? Feng Wu asked. Feng Sun said, Yes. I found all 15 of them among the guards. What should we do now? Feng Wu gave it some thought and raised her eyebrows. There's a way. Feng Sun's eyes lit up. He knew that he could always count on Boss Jun, so he asked, What should we do? Feng Wu said, Since they're all part of the revival plan, they have to be from the Dongsang Kingdom, right? Feng Sun said, Of course. Feng Wu asked, What are they known for? Feng Sun asked their pettiness. Feng Wu said in resignation, Their patriotism. Feng Sun thought about it and realized that she was right. The Dongsang Kingdom is a small place. They comprise a single ethnic group. They love their kingdom to a fault and won't allow anyone to say bad things about it. Feng Sun smacked his forehead, and his eyes sparkled. I see. You're saying that we should insult the Dongsang Kingdom in front of these 15 people and watch their reactions, right? Feng Wu glanced at him. That look gave Feng Sun the creeps. He suddenly felt silly. Am I not right? He didn't sound as confident this time. Feng Wu shook her head in resignation. You can write some insulting words about the Dongsang Kingdom and have them take turns reading it out loud. Observe their reactions. Feng Sun smacked his thigh. That's right. They'll have to say those words on their own. Their cover will be blown. Feng Wu glanced at him and went on. They can fake their facial expressions, but they can't fake their heartbeats. Therefore, monitor their heartbeats. If it speeds up, you found your man. That's right. Why didn't I think of that? Boss Jun, you're so smart. This is a brilliant idea. I'll go uncover the spies, said Feng Sun. He quickly went to interrogate the suspects. Feng Wu shook her head. She hadn't finished speaking yet. Feng Sun might not succeed in one go. Jun Linyuan had been sitting in the corner and repairing Feng Wu's body. He was also refining the seed of the spirit source for her. The seed was like an onion that contained 10 layers. One would rise to the next cultivation level when they refined each layer of the seed. However, every time Jun Linyuan was about to rise to the next level, he would suppress it. Instead of making a breakthrough, he went on enhancing the body. Even Feng Wu didn't notice what he was doing. 15 minutes later, Feng Sun rushed back holding a man. The man was a lord and an advanced cultivator. Now, however, he was covered with wounds, especially his head, which was a bloody mess. He was already unconscious. Thump! Feng Sun tossed the man to the ground. He's a spy of the Dongsang Kingdom. Feng Sun gloated. Boss Jun, you're amazing. Feng Wu gave him a suspicious look. Feng Sun said, I didn't believe you at first and thought that my way would work as well, so I insulted the Dongsang Kingdom in front of them. Chapter 2135. He's dead. Chapter 2135. He's dead. Feng Sun pointed at the Lord on the floor and smirked. Lord Wu here is playing dead. He did a pretty good job back there. He didn't let his face betray him. It almost fooled me. I looked at all 15 of them, but no one seemed affected. How is that possible? Therefore, I had to use your way, but I didn't write it down for them. I just told them to improvise and curse the Dongsang Kingdom however they wanted. The Dongseng Kingdom is our archenemy. They've killed so many of our people, and no one can forgive them for that. Therefore, it's only natural that we should hate them. Once one starts cursing them, they can go on, said Feng's son. That was what everyone did, but Lord Wu here tried to bluff his way through it. It was so obvious. Feng Wu nodded. Yes. Feng Sun said, so I picked him out and told him to curse the Dongseng Kingdom. Not only wouldn't he do it, he also tried to change the subject. In the end, he was forced to start cursing, but I recognized the look in his eyes too well. They were filled with hatred, and I heard his heartbeat. It was very fast. So, he has to be a spy of the Dongseng Kingdom. Feng Sun said affirmatively. But Feng Wu frowned a little. Feng Sun was perplexed. Boss Jun, don't you believe me? Feng Wu looked at him in resignation. The look made Feng Sun uneasy. What's wrong? Just then, footsteps came from outside. They were quite loud. It was none other than the second prince. Why are you here? Feng Sun wasn't happy to see the second prince here. The prince had been asking questions non-stop when he brought the spy here, which was very annoying. Putting his hands behind his back, the second prince smiled. I heard that you caught a spy, so I thought I should pop in. Brother, you don't mind, do you? Jun Linyuan usually just ignored the second prince. But Feng Wu glanced at the second prince and casually said, Actually, I do. What? That greatly embarrassed the second prince. Feng Sun threw a dirty look at the second prince and said, Hear that? His Royal Highness doesn't like it. Are you still going to stay here? That wasn't very polite. And the second prince felt even more embarrassed. Master Dugu had arrived with him and stepped forward to mediate. He smiled and said, We were taking a walk after lunch and just happened to pass by. We heard that Miss Feng Wu was sick, so we thought we should visit her. After saying that, he felt that Jun Linyuan couldn't tell them to leave anymore. Feng Wu ignored him and only asked Feng Sun, Why did you bring the dead man here? Are you trying to ruin my floor with blood? Dead. Feng Sun stared at Feng Wu in disbelief. Feng Wu glanced at the man on the floor and said, See for yourself. Feng Sun grew anxious. Yes, he had beaten up the man, but why was he dead? At that thought, he checked his pulse. And it was a good thing he did. There was no pulse. Chapter 2136, Untitled. Chapter 2136, Untitled. What? Feng Sun's eyes widened. How can this have happened? I didn't even use that much force. He knew the man was a spy, so he had kept him alive and brought him here. But why? Did you kill Lord Wu? The second prince stared at Feng Sun in disbelief. You killed Lord Wu for no reason. Feng Sun glared at him. He's a spy from the Dongseng Kingdom. The second prince smirked. Do you have any proof of that? Feng Sun said. In fact, he hadn't found any yet. He had spotted the man by using Feng Wu's method. However, it would only work when Lord Wu was alive. Now that he was dead, Feng Sun couldn't prove that his heartbeat had been abnormal. On guard, Feng Wu narrowed her eyes. So, this was what the second prince was waiting for. Feng Wu checked the task log. The 70% for the Saturn team had become 80%. That was to say, the dead man was indeed a spy of the Dongseng Kingdom. The question rendered Feng Sun speechless. He was a spy, no matter what you say, Feng Sun said angrily. The second prince smirked and asked Master Dugu, What's the punishment for killing a military officer? It's punishable by death, Master Dugu said indifferently. Feng Sun was so frustrated. He couldn't understand what was happening. Feng Wu said indifferently, My brother wants to compete with me because the first one to catch the spy will obtain my father's inheritance jade ring. Feng Sun realized what this was about. He stared at the second prince and said, That was why you kept following me. This is what you want. Lord Wu's death was your doing. The second prince smirked. Young Lord Feng, that's a reckless thing to say. Feng Sun said, Lord Wu was alive until you came around and walked up next to him. How bold. You killed a man in broad daylight. The second prince ignored Feng Sun's accusation and only asked Master Dugu, What's the punishment for slandering a prince? Master Dugu's reply remained unchanged. It's punishable by death. The second prince glanced at Feng Sun and said, I don't need him to die, but he'll probably lose his job. What a threat. It was obviously a threat. The second prince made it clear that if Feng Sun didn't resign from his post as the leader of the execution team, he would tell the public that Feng Sun had killed Lord Wu. Frustrated, Feng Sun shouted at the second prince, Damn you, but he didn't have any proof. Feng Wu looked at Feng Sun in resignation. You idiot, Feng Sun said, huh? Feng Wu beckoned him over and whispered something in his ear. Feng Sun's eyes immediately lit up. That's right. Why didn't I think of that? He smacked his own head. When he turned to leave, Feng Wu shook her head and said, Let Xianyi do it. Sure. The next second, Feng Sun dashed off. The second prince was dumbfounded. What had Jun Linyuan said to Feng Sun? He suddenly had a bad feeling. Chapter 2137, Untitled. Chapter 2137, Untitled. Your Royal Highness, are you covering for young Lord Feng, the murderer? The second prince narrowed his eyes. Feng Wu gave the second prince a half-smile. Her eyes were cold and piercing, and the look she gave him reminded him of a sharp blade. It made the second prince uneasy. By then, Feng Sun had come back. He stood behind Feng Wu with his chin raised. He gave the second prince a contemptuous glance. With Boss Jun behind him, there was nothing the second prince could do. The second prince smirked. If you don't have any proof, young Lord Feng, you'll have to come with me. Feng Sun looked at Boss Jun. Feng Wu narrowed her eyes. No proof? Says who? Really? Then, my dear brother, where is your proof? The second prince gloated. He had indeed been the culprit behind Lord Wu's death, but the wound was so small that no one would ever spot it. He was sure that his brother was only bluffing. Feng Wu ignored the second prince and only told Feng Sun, Bring the other 14 men here. Although Feng Sun was perplexed, he still did as he was told. The second prince stared at Feng Wu and wondered how Jun Linyuan would prove it. The 14 men were soon brought in. Feng Wu looked from one face to the next, and her piercing eyes gave them the creeps. She tried to figure out what to do next as she studied the 14 men. There were 2 more spies among them, but since the previous method didn't work, the only possibility was. The remaining 2 spies were men of the Junmu Empire who had defected to the other side. That thought made Feng Wu's face darken. She flipped through the files in her hands. The 14 files were from Feng Sun, and they included everything about these men, from their family backgrounds to their connections. Nice job, Feng Sun. Feng Sun looked at Feng Wu in confusion. The second prince was equally perplexed. Even Jun Linyuan, who was sitting in the corner, couldn't help but glance at Feng Wu, but he soon closed his eyes and went back to his cultivation. He didn't know if Feng Wu could really find the spies. If she could, he would acknowledge her intelligence. If not, that would mean that she wasn't as smart as she looked. The first of the 14 men was Shi Lai, the second son of the Minister of Public Works. The second man was Mo Haolin, an officer who had started off as just a common soldier only. The third was Hui Zian, a distant relative of the Zhou family. The fourth was... Suddenly, Feng Wu's gaze landed on Zhou Zian, a member of the Zhou family. How interesting. She glanced at Zhou Zian and saw the jade pendant at his waist. Her eyes glinted, but she didn't say anything. She walked past Zhou Zian and stopped in front of Mo Haolin. I smell cherry flower on him, said the fairy. Feng Wu raised her eyebrows. I didn't know you could smell that. The fairy said, I'm a peach blossom fairy, and I can detect the energy of a cherry flower fairy. It's very faint, but it can't escape my nose. Chapter 2138, Untitled. Chapter 2138, Untitled. The cherry flower was the national flower of the Dongsang Kingdom. So, Mo Haolin. Feng Wu frowned. Is it possible that someone smeared it on him on purpose? The fairy shook her head. It's been there for a very long time. That's the only way that it'll smell like that. Feng Wu frowned. Her eyes met Mo Howleen's. The next second, Mo Howleen bolted. He was unbelievably fast. Before Feng Wu said anything, Feng Sun dashed off like a cheetah. Thump! He threw a punch at Mo Howleen and knocked him to the ground. Mo Howleen didn't dare linger. He climbed back up and continued running. Feng Sun shouted, "I told you not to run. Stop." The second prince's face darkened. Even an idiot could tell that there was something wrong with Mo Howleen. He was impressed. Jun Linyuan only glanced at those men, and he spotted the spy right away. The second prince himself had no clue at all. He knew that he would be at a disadvantage if Mo Howleen was caught. At that moment, Mo Howleen charged at him. Feng Sun shouted, "Stop him!" However, the second prince and Master Dugu exchanged a look, and both men stepped aside. Master Dugu shouted, "Guard the prince!" Whoosh! All the guards of the second prince gathered around him, separating Feng Sun from Mo Howleen. Feng Sun couldn't believe it. He had made a mistake already when he let Lord Wu die. If Mo Howleen got away, he wouldn't know what to do. Feng Sun threw a dirty look at the second prince and jumped over their heads. However, when he looked again, Mo Howleen was nowhere to be found. He looked around, but no one knew where Mo Howleen had gone. Feng Sun turned around and glared at the second prince. "You did that on purpose." Master Dugu frowned. "Young Lord Feng, what do you mean? Are you saying that a common officer's life is more important than the second prince's?" The second prince gloated. Yes, he had done it on purpose, but there was nothing Feng Sun could do. Feng Sun shouted, "I'll make you answer for it after I find Mo Howleen." The second prince smirked. "Young Lord Feng, are you trying to run away?" His guards then surrounded Feng Sun. Feng Sun glared at him. "You're still a suspect in Lord Wu's death. Murder is punishable by death." The second prince sounded very pleased. Feng Sun was furious. Just then, they heard a thump and something dropped on the ground. Everyone looked in that direction, and the second prince was dumbfounded. Feng Sun, on the other hand, laughed loudly. It was Jun Linyun, the prince who had a crush on Feng Wu. He was also the son of Empress Dugu. As for the thump, he had just tossed Mo Howleen onto the ground. Jun Linyun then turned to Feng Sun. "You were shouting about stopping someone. Who? Let me help you." Feng Sun was rendered speechless. The second prince was speechless. Jun Linyun was perplexed. "Why are you looking at me like that?" Chapter 2139, Untitled. Chapter 2139, Untitled. Feng Sun pointed at Mo Howleen. Jun Linyun nodded. "Ride him." He was running wildly and bumped into me, which was unbelievable. So I dragged him here for you guys to see. Who's this man? He needs to be punished for what he did. Feng Sun was rendered speechless. The second prince was speechless. Mo Howleen suddenly tried to jump to his feet. However, Feng Sun struck him down before he could get up. Mo Howleen crumpled and almost passed out. Feng Sun grabbed his chin and dislocated his jaw. Jun Linyun watched in astonishment. "Brother Feng, you care about me so much." The second prince threw a dirty look at his younger brother. If he could, he wanted to slap Jun Linyun. Feng Sun stuck his hand into Mo Howleen's mouth and took out a small white pill. "You're not getting out of it that easily." Jun Linyun had to be a real idiot if he still didn't realize what was going on. "Brother Feng," Feng Sun rose to his feet. He kept his gaze on Mo Howleen while talking to Jun Linyun. "He's the one I was trying to catch." "Holy crap," Jun Linyun cried out. "I'm amazing." Feng Sun rolled his eyes at him and was amazed by his dumb luck. He then turned all his attention to Mo Howleen. "Who are you? Answer me." Feng Sun started the interrogation. Mo Howleen snorted and looked away. Feng Sun smirked. "Fine. Keep your silence. I have 100 ways to make you talk." After that, a dagger appeared in his hand. Mo Howleen snorted. He had never been afraid of death. Feng Sun snorted. Do you think I'm going to kill you? No, it won't be that easy. After that, Feng Sun tied him up and started with his face. By the time Mo Howlin realized it, a slice of flesh had been peeled off his face. It was a very thin piece, but it was so painful that he almost passed out. Mo Howlin's forehead was covered with cold sweat, and he glared at Feng Sun. Feng Sun only smiled at him. I know you can take it. I like to see how long you can last. With that, he sliced another piece off his face. Mo Howlin almost burst into tears. Feng Sun said, I'm just getting started. I have all the time in the world. It's not like I'm in pain, right? After that, he sliced off another piece of flesh. Mo Howlin was in tears now. He had been trained to endure pain, but this pain seemed never-ending. He would be able to stand it if he knew when it would stop, but Feng Sun had made it clear that if he kept his silence, this would go on and on. Mo Howlin was about to break. While everyone was watching Mo Howlin, Feng Wu was observing the other 13 men. Chapter 2140, Untitled. Chapter 2140, Untitled. This was why Feng Wu had let Feng Sun carry out the interrogation in public. No one could stay calm when their companions were being tortured. They would feel enraged, and they would feel fear. It was human nature. Even if they could keep their faces straight, they wouldn't be able to control their heartbeats. With one glance, Feng Wu found what she was looking for. The pain seemed to go on and on. Mo Howlin began to break. In the end, stop, he panted and said, I'll confess. Someone in the crowd stiffened. The second prince also stared at Mo Howlin. Mo Howlin started talking. He admitted that he was a spy that had been stealing information about the Junwu Empire. You're all going to die. My kingdom has gathered a lot more information than you can imagine. The war will soon break out, and you're all going to die. How many of you are out there? Feng Sun grabbed him by the neck. How many? Ha ha, you've killed off my team, but don't worry. My friend from the other teams are still safe. You'll never find them. He was already in a frantic state. Feng Wu smiled. Start with his wife. Mo Howlin stiffened and glared at Feng Wu. The next second, he charged at her like a bull. However, his real target was the second prince. He took out his weapon as he ran at the prince. How dare you? The second prince pointed his sword at Mo Howlin. Poof! To his surprise, Mo Howlin ran right into the blade. It seemed that he was trying to get himself killed. The blade went right through him. The second prince was astonished. So was Master Dugu. Jun Linyan was the first to react. He stared at the second prince and said, Brother, that man is a spy. How could you kill him? Why did you do that? The second prince was dumbfounded. No, I didn't. The second prince tried to explain, but he couldn't find anything to say. I thought he wanted to kill me. It was self-defense. Self-defense. Feng Sun was furious. That was what he wanted, and you gave it to him. Are you their leader? That was a serious crime. Of course, the second prince wouldn't admit it. He pointed at Feng Sun in frustration. You're the spy. You killed Lord Wu. Feng Wu looked at the second prince silently, but there was no warmth in her eyes. No, it's not me. Jun Linyuan, I'm warning you. You can't incriminate me just because I'm your rival. I'm telling you, Feng Sun is still a suspect in Lord Wu's murder. Feng Wu suddenly smiled. She moved closer and whispered something in his ear. The second prince's face paled. Chapter 2141, Untitled. Chapter 2141, Untitled. The second prince glared at Feng Wu. Feng Wu smiled at him while she tried to decide what to do with this man, who always tried to sabotage her plans. She needed to be very subtle. What would Jun Linyuan do? Feng Sun looked curiously at Feng Wu. He wondered what Boss Jun had said. Why was the second prince so frightened? Take him down and lock him up, Jun Linyuan, who was still cultivating in the corner, said casually. The second prince almost jumped to his feet. He pointed at Feng Wu and shouted, Who do you think you are? Shut up. Feng Wu found his question idiotic. The person in the corner was the real Jun Lin Yuan. However, she was happy to hear that she could lock the second prince up. She immediately told Feng, do it. Infuriated, the second prince pointed at Feng Wu. Jun Lin Yuan, how dare you? Feng Wu crossed her hands behind her back and snorted. She didn't dare, but Jun Lin Yuan did. Feng always followed Jun Lin Yuan's orders because he only had this one master. No one else could order him around. Hence, yes. Feng walked up to the second prince and gave him a nod. Your Royal Highness, please come with me. The second prince stomped his foot. He shouted at Feng, you have no right to do this. Feng gave him an indifferent look and repeated, Your Royal Highness, please come with me. What if I say no? The second prince was furious. Would a steward defy him? Feng didn't say another word. He put his right hand on the prince's shoulder, and the next second, he picked up the second prince as if he were made of straw. The second prince was astonished. He was the son of Empress Dugu. How dare this servant do such a thing? How dare you humiliate me like this? I'm going to kill you, the second prince shouted. But he failed to notice something. He didn't even know Feng's name. Master Dugu was shocked as well. Before he could scold Feng, Feng had walked away. Fearing that Feng would harm the second prince, Master Dugu quickly followed him out. Feng's son gave Feng Wu a thumbs up. Boss Jun, you're amazing. Feng Wu rolled her eyes at him and looked at the person in the corner. That person was the amazing one. She was just following orders. By the way, Feng Sun moved closer and whispered, Boss Jun, what did you tell the second prince? Why was he so scared? And about Lord Wu, am I off the hook? Feng Wu glared at him. How could you be so stupid? You had that man, but you still let the second prince kill him. Feng Sun said, how was I supposed to know that a prince would do such a despicable thing? Just then, they heard hasty footsteps outside. Thump! Emperor Wu kicked the door open. Chapter 2142, Untitled. Chapter 2142, Untitled. Feng Wu frowned. Did you lock your brother up? Emperor Wu shouted at her. Empress Dugu was with him. It seemed that Emperor Wu had arrived so quickly because he had received the news from his wife. Feng Wu didn't know what to say. As the ruler of the empire, shouldn't Emperor Wu have better judgment than this? Why couldn't he keep out of it? However, the emperor didn't feel that there was anything wrong with what he was doing. He pointed at Feng Wu and shouted, Jun Lin Yuan, is it true that you locked up your brother? Feng Wu stole a glance at Jun Lin Yuan. After all, it was the royal family's business, and she couldn't make reckless decisions. Jun Lin Yuan gave her a nod, which meant that she could do whatever she wanted. Feng Wu's eyes widened. Really? Could she really do whatever she wanted? Jun Lin Yuan nodded a little before closing his eyes and going back to his cultivation. He had reached the critical point and couldn't afford to be disturbed. Meanwhile, Emperor Wu was lashing out at Feng Wu. Jun Lin Yuan, have you forgotten what I said? The first one to solve the case can have the ring. And what did you do? You locked up your brother. You. Emperor Wu looked like he was going to pass out with rage. Seeing this, Empress Dugu rushed over and steadied Emperor Wu. She cried out, Your Majesty, are you all right? Your Majesty. While supporting Emperor Wu, Empress Dugu turned to Feng Wu and said, Your Royal Highness, you've upset your father. What if something happens to His Majesty? Feng Wu thought about it and decided that the real Jun Lin Yuan would ignore the Empress. She needed to mimic Jun Lin Yuan now. Therefore, she put her hands behind her back and looked very proud. Emperor Wu pushed Empress Dugu away. He walked up to Jun Lin Yuan and shouted, You defiant son. However, Feng Wu cut him off before he could go on. Father, my brother didn't tell you why he was locked up, did he? Empress Dugu tried to intervene. Your Royal Highness, you have no right to. Feng Wu waved her off. If Empress Dugu knows why I locked up my brother, she probably wouldn't have urged my father to create such a scene. Such a scene? Emperor Wu was furious. It sounded as if he was making a fool of himself. He was the ruler of this empire. If that person were here, would Jun Lin Yuan do this? That thought frustrated Emperor Wu even more. Feng Wu shook her head and said, Jun Linshan killed a man. Jun Linshan was the second prince's name. Emperor Wu smirked. You sound as if you haven't taken lives before. Feng Wu smiled. He killed a spy to shut him up. The emperor stared at her. What? Empress Dugu glared at her. That's a lie. Feng Wu said, Actually, he's killed more than one spy. Jun Linshan was brought back, and with his parents' support, he shouted, I killed the spies? Says who? Can you prove that Lord Wu was a spy? Feng Wu smiled at him. So, are you admitting that Lord Wu worked for you? Chapter 2143, Untitled. Chapter 2143, Untitled. Only then did Jun Linshan realize that he had been tricked by Jun Linyuan. He shouted, Seeing that Emperor Wu was watching him, Jun Linshan found courage again. Why are you saying that I killed Lord Wu? You have no proof. This is pure speculation. Feng Wu put her hands behind her back and said proudly, It's natural that you should ask for proof. Since we have you as the witness, of course, we have material evidence as well. Jun Linshan wanted to retort, but fought back his words. He smirked at Jun Linyuan and wondered what proof he could provide. If you can't prove that I killed him, then Feng Sun is the murderer. He has to pay with his own life. Jun Linshan snorted. Feng Sun also looked nervous. If Boss Jun couldn't prove it, he would be killed. Take his clothes off. Feng Wu stared at Jun Linshan, but she was talking about the dead body. Jun Linshan's pupils contracted, but Feng Wu was still staring at him, so he couldn't let her suspect anything. By then, Master Chu, the royal physician, had arrived. Feng Wu looked at Emperor Wu and asked, I'll have Master Chu examine the body. Will everyone trust his conclusion? Master Chu was the head of the royal physicians, and Emperor Wu trusted him a lot. Emperor Wu would trust Master Chu's conclusion. Yes, Emperor Wu said coldly. Feng Wu told Master Chu, examine Lord Wu's body and find the cause of his death. Yes, replied Master Chu after he realized what was going on. Jun Linshan and Master Dugu looked at each other. The latter nodded, reassuring him. Immediately, all eyes were on Lord Wu's body. At that moment, someone tried to get into the room. The eunuchs at the door tried their best to stop the person. However, the person struggled hysterically and couldn't be stopped. The eunuchs were all knocked to the ground, and the person ran into the room. It was none other than Mrs. Wu, Lord Wu's wife. She had just received the news. As soon as she entered the room, she saw the dead body on the ground and almost fainted. My lord! She burst into tears. Why is he? How did this happen? Mrs. Wu glared at everyone with bloodshot eyes. Jun Linshan said, Feng Sun killed him. Mrs. Wu stared at Feng Sun. No one could scare her now. What a fierce woman. She didn't look like the wife of a mere low-level lord at all. Feng Sun glanced at a young eunuch next to him. The eunuch explained to him in a low voice, This is Lord Wu's wife. She's the daughter of Master Wu, the master of ceremonies. Feng Sun nodded and didn't think much of it. The young eunuch smiled bitterly and went on. She's also the goddaughter of Master Eunuch Wu. Who's Master Eunuch Wu? That sounded like someone important. The young eunuch lowered his voice even more. He's the head eunuch and the royal horse supervisor. The young eunuch pointed at the sky. That was to say, Master Eunuch Wu was a big boss to the eunuchs. Feng Sun's face darkened a little. Chapter 2144, Untitled. Chapter 2144, Untitled. Master Eunuch Wu, the royal horse supervisor. That could be problematic. Eunuchs could be great cultivation masters as well. For instance, the 12 head eunuchs in the royal palace were all capable warriors. The royal horse supervisor was the keeper of the commander's seal for the emperor and could deploy the Imperial guards in the capital city. He was definitely an important person. Feng Sun's family background aside, he was only a junior officer. At his age, he was only a team leader in the intelligence department. Master Eunuch Wu was of a much higher rank. Only his father was senior enough to be Master Eunuch Wu's equal. That old eunuch had even challenged his father before. That thought gave Feng Sun a bigger headache. Jun Linshan still wouldn't give in. Feng Sun killed him. It has nothing to do with me. Feng Sun was so mad. He wanted to punch Jun Linshan in the face. But Feng Wu shook her head at him. Feng Sun snorted. If it wasn't for Boss Jun, he would have beaten up Jun Linshan. But Feng Sun had made up his mind. He would find a quiet spot, blindfold Jun Linshan, and kick him around to vent his frustration. Feng Wu told Feng Sun, "Tell everyone what happened." Feng Sun nodded. He then explained Feng Wu's method of identifying the spies and pointed out Lord Wu's strange behavior. He said that was why he had wanted to bring Lord Wu here. Hearing his description, Emperor Wu couldn't help but glance at Feng Wu. He thought, Jun Linyuan is indeed very smart, but he's too arrogant. If only he can be as obedient as his brother. Feng Sun went on. With Boss Jun's method, I spotted Lord Wu because he cared too much about the Dongseng Kingdom. Over a dozen people were there, and they're all my witnesses. The people that have been taken away were brought back now, because they needed to recreate the scene. Emperor Wu glanced at the crowd. Everyone nodded, confirming what Feng Sun had said. Feng Sun said, "So, we're almost certain that he's a spy of the Dongseng Kingdom." "Nonsense, Mrs." Wu jumped up from the ground and charged at Feng Sun. She shouted at him, "You have no witness or physical evidence. This is pure speculation. My husband isn't a spy." She would never accept that conclusion because it would be a heavy blow to her family, her future, and the force behind her. Therefore, she tried her best to deny it. Feng Sun frowned. "They're all my witnesses." "Mrs." Wu smirked. "So what? Where's your physical evidence? Show me. Otherwise." "Here it is." Someone spoke calmly from the doorway. It was Xianyi. After Mo Haolin died, Feng Wu sent him away to take care of something, and now he was back. "Here is the physical evidence." Xianyi waved the object in his hand. Emperor Wu glanced at Eunuch Gao, who quickly took the object and handed it to Emperor Wu. Emperor Wu took a look, and his face darkened. "Mrs." Wu's heart sank. What was going on? Emperor Wu was furious. That Lord Wu really was a spy of the Dongseng Kingdom. Stop trying to deny it. He glared at Mrs. Wu with angry red eyes. Chapter 2145, Untitled. Chapter 2145, Untitled. Everyone looked at Emperor Wu. They wondered what Xianyi had handed to him and why he was so angry. Xianyi had been sent off by Jun Linyuan. Did that mean that the crown prince had planned it from the beginning? That was amazing. Emperor Wu didn't show the others what was in his hand. He only summoned Mrs. Wu to his side. Mrs. Wu almost fainted when she saw what it was. "Get her out of here. Find out everything about her family." Emperor Wu was furious. Feng Sun was relieved and said, "So, we have reached the conclusion that Lord Wu was a spy of the Dongseng Kingdom, right?" Emperor Wu nodded. Jun Linshan nodded reluctantly. He had tried to set Feng Sun's family against Master Eunuch Wu, the head eunuch. If he succeeded, he would be able to remove Feng Sun from his position. But now, it didn't seem like that would happen. Once Feng Sun identified Lord Wu as a spy, Jun Linshan became his next target. I was bringing Lord Wu to Boss Jun when Prince Jun Linshan approached me. Feng Sun looked at Jun Linshan and went on, "The prince usually ignores me and will proudly look away whenever we run into each other. This time, however, he tried to strike up a conversation with me." Jun Linshan glared at Feng Sun. "Why would I try to do that? You're just a young lord." "Feng, shut up." Emperor Wu glared at Jun Linshan before telling Feng Sun to go on. Jun Linshan could only vent his frustration inwardly. Feng Sun said, "The prince said that carrying Lord Wu was such a tiresome job, and he wanted to carry him for me." Jun Linshan glowered. "No, I didn't." Feng Sun smirked. "The courier station is a very small place, and many people were watching. Do I really need to find someone to back me up? Jun Linshan said, I was only trying to help you. Feng Sun, how ungrateful you are. Feng Sun said angrily, why should I be grateful at all? Seeing that Jun Linshan was trying to change the subject again, Feng Wu had to intervene. She gave Feng Sun a warning glance. Taking the hint, Feng Sun got to the point. He cleared his throat and said, Your Royal Highness, you admit that you took Lord Wu from me. Jun Linshan gritted his teeth and snorted. Feng Sun smirked. With His Majesty here, are you still not going to give me a straight answer? Do you think you can fool His Majesty? Jun Linshan glared at Feng Sun. Since when was Feng Sun so clever? If he didn't give a straight answer, the Emperor would think that he was trying to fool him. That would be a serious crime. Jun Linshan was infuriated, but Emperor Wu was glaring at him, and he had to admit what he did. Sure, I took Lord Wu. So what? Feng Sun chuckled. We wouldn't have to go through so much trouble if you had admitted it in the beginning. Jun Linshan said angrily. How can you prove that I killed Lord Wu? Show me. Feng Sun shrugged. I don't know. What? Everyone was dumbfounded. The young lord had been so intimidating when he confronted the prince, but now he said he didn't know what to do next. Chapter 2146, Untitled. Chapter 2146, Untitled. Jun Linshan smirked. Why are you saying that I killed him? It was obvious that he was trying to trick Feng Sun. Despite knowing it, Feng Sun still replied, Because you did. You killed Lord Wu. Jun Linshan laughed. Young Lord Feng, you better know what you're talking about. I'm a prince. Why would I kill a low-level lord? Feng Sun said, There's no use trying to deny it. You did it. Jun Linshan laughed despite his rage. Fine if you say so. But in the end, if you can't prove that I killed him, you've just slandered a prince. Feng Sun smirked. If I did, you can take my head. He put his life on the line. They spoke very quickly, and by the time Emperor Wu tried to stop them, he was too late. Jun Linshan said, Fine, if you can prove that I did it, I'll admit to my crime, like a commoner. Feng Sun said, Great. So, how are you going to prove it? Jun Linshan smirked. Feng Sun shrugged and grinned. I have no idea, but Boss Jun knows what to do. All eyes fell on Feng Wu. To the others, she was Jun Linyuan. Feng Wu didn't answer Feng Sun. Instead, she turned to Master Chu and asked, What did you find? Master Chu smiled bitterly. I've examined every part of his body, including the bottom of his feet, but nothing is out of place. It seems that Lord Wu. Jun Linshan smiled and asked, Master Chu, what do you think was the cause of Lord Wu's death? Everyone looked at Master Chu. Even Emperor Wu said, Tell us what you know. Master Chu gave Feng Wu and Feng Sun an apologetic look, cleared his throat, and said, My examination shows that Lord Wu had a weak heart. I found no external injuries, nor is there any sign of him being poisoned. I think we can conclude that Lord Wu had a heart attack and was killed by fear and panic. Emperor Wu frowned. Are you saying that he was frightened to death? Master Chu nodded. That seems to be the case. Jun Linshan gloated at Feng Sun. That was in his favor. He couldn't wait to see Feng Sun dead. But Feng Sun wasn't worried at all, because Boss Jun would be there to help him. He had a lot of confidence in Boss Jun. Feng Wu found Feng Sun a bit too trusting. Since Feng Sun's life was on the line, Feng Wu had to take it seriously. She asked Master Chu, Did you examine the entire body? Master Chu nodded and said seriously, Yes, Your Royal Highness. What about his groin? Feng Wu glanced at Jun Linshan when she asked the question. Jun Linshan turned around and glared at Feng Wu. Feng Wu ignored him. Master Chu seemed surprised. His groin? I don't think there's any injury there. Master Chu was very thorough, and he hadn't missed the private parts. Feng Wu shook her head. The skin there is darker than elsewhere. Did you examine it closely? Chapter 2147, Untitled. Chapter 2147, Untitled. Master Chu's pupils contracted a little. The Crown Prince was saying that. I'll examine it again. He flipped Lord Wu's dead body over and looked closely at the spot that Feng Wu had mentioned. Seeing this, Jun Linshan's hand started to shake. There's a tiny needle mark. Master Chu reached the conclusion after examining the dead body more closely. So what? What does that prove? Jun Linshan tried to remain calm. Feng Wu smirked. We'll see what it can prove once the dead body is dissected. Master Chu asked for Emperor Wu's permission. Normally, people wouldn't agree to have the body of their family member cut up, but Mrs. Wu had been taken away already. Feng Wu said, all men of the Dongseng Kingdom are marked on the bone. If I'm guessing correctly, so is Lord Wu. Marked on the bone? Where did that come from? No one had heard of it before. Emperor Wu looked at Feng Wu. Feng Wu nodded and said, they write soul of Dongseng on their bones along with a number. Emperor Wu asked, why do you know that? Feng Wu said, I extracted that information from the interrogation earlier, but I hadn't verified it yet. Emperor Wu glanced at Feng Wu and wondered how much information his son had kept from him. He then turned to Master Chu and said, dissect him. Knowing how serious this was, Master Chu started immediately. Seeing that Master Chu was aiming at Lord Wu's rib, Feng Wu added, the mark can be anywhere. It doesn't necessarily have to be on the rib. Master Chu stared at Feng Wu. Feng Wu smiled and said, that way, it won't be exposed so easily. Feng Wu was telling him that he should uncover Lord Wu's cause of death first. The mark could wait. Master Chu took the hint, so he cut up Lord Wu's leg first. Soon, blood was extracted, and it had a trace of green. What's that? Emperor Wu didn't know what that meant. By then, Master Chu was covered with sweat. He had been so sure a moment ago that Lord Wu had been frightened to death. But now, the evidence suggested otherwise. It's thousand silk. Master Chu's face darkened. Emperor Wu was perplexed. What's that? Master Chu heaved a sigh. It's a potent liquid poison that can excite a person exceedingly in a short period of time. It can easily kill someone with a weak heart. Hearing that, everyone looked at Lord Wu. Wasn't that what had killed Lord Wu? A weak heart. That was exactly as Master Chu had described. Master Chu smiled bitterly and said, the poison dissolves in the blood. I wouldn't have noticed without dissecting the body. The murderer is really good. The poison was injected with a tiny needle, and the needle was removed afterward. Normally, I wouldn't check the groin for a needle mark. Moreover, just like what His Royal Highness said, the skin there is darker, which makes it harder to spot any mark. I would have missed it had it not been for His Royal Highness's reminder. Everyone looked at Jun Linshan now. Jun Linshan was frustrated. Why are you looking at me? Even if you can prove that Lord Wu was killed with thousand silk, how does that have anything to do with me? That you're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.